Back at it, baby.
Hi, Jace.
You're back in my shop so quick. You've been coming out here a lot lately.
It's okay. I'm here to help.
Yeah, well, just here to build bikes for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm here to coach. It's Maindrive Consulting Services. I just tell you what to do and you can do it.
There we go. Yeah, that's actually not a bad deal. Mm-hmm. I think more people need consultants in their life.
Yes.
We were kind of talking about that before we turned on these microphones, and there's nothing wrong with direction and constructive criticism, or just constructive. You know, like, hey, it's not so much criticism, but I wanted to tell you this while it's top on my mind, because I was thinking about it on the way back. I've been, air quotes, customizing, building bikes for most of my adulthood. But I think over the last couple of years of working with you, you've helped me refine things that maybe I would have overlooked or not paid as much attention to, and fitment and details. And it's kind of helped me refine where I still feel like I have a lot to learn and gain. But because I was open-minded to bring someone into my world and show me what they know how to do, or even show me how to do something I already knew how to do better, it's helping me become a better customizer, if you will. You know what I'm saying? That's very cool.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's very kind. And I mean, we've done a couple of collaborations already, and I think both of those bikes were absolutely monumental. Mm-hmm. You know, they turned out epic, and I think they've already made their mark and have influenced many people since those bikes have came out, right? So, right, the M8 FXR that we did together, you did the paint for me, and then I helped you with your fabrication on your gold chopper. Yeah. And all we're seeing now is more of the same of those. We're seeing more M8 FXRs for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were to graph it, I'm sure it's just gone completely.
Well, I think that's definitely a testament to, like, not just the bikes that we built together, but also I think it was I think it was a timing thing. If you ever heard that Malcolm Gladwell book, the what is it called?
Yeah, with 10,000 hours.
He talks about in this book about how it's not just for some of these people that they reference in the book. If you haven't read it, guys, they're audio books. It's easy. Sometimes it's the time and repetitions they've done, but also the timing in which they started. The Bill Gates thing, you know, the dude was living in a affluent neighborhood to where he was able to be access to a computer for a long time, and he was at the right age to grow up and be at the right time, right place to become so-and-so, right? Yeah. Well, I think that when we did the tour in 23, it was at the right time where so many people had already done a performance bagger or two, or maybe even built a full-on Softail. And it gave people a chance to see another look at FXRs to customize them in a place they can go. So I think it became like just another avenue for someone that wasn't really versed in the, you know, maybe they didn't get into all this stuff in the club style FXR chopper days and all that stuff from, like, you know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and I think many times people don't know what they like until they see it, right? Yeah. And many times, if you're breaking new ground and you're trying new things, maybe you're taking a risk. I don't know if this is going to be cool, but I think it might be. And then you end up putting your product out there, your vision out there, and it is going to inspire. If it came out to the true fruition of what you thought it was, it can inspire God knows how many people. Yeah. And then now they know that can be done. I like that. I want to try it for myself.
Yeah, and then it just continues to push the the threshold, if you will. Because I mean, obviously, with Justin Coleman with the FXR division kind of breaking ground, putting together the M8 into these chassis for the first time. And then I think that you kind of refining it and doing what you call the OEM plus kind of way, where you're basically reusing all of the OEM components from a bagger and retrofitting them to work in an FXR. And the way you did it very cleanly, and that kind of opened up a new door or opportunity for people to find out how to do it a different way rather than just,
Yeah, Devin and I were talking about this earlier. Like, what I try to do is to introduce creativity, and I mean, maybe that's just based out of my frugality and practicality. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you grow up with not having much and you're not used to having a lot of money, and you try to repurpose things and try to find just a better a way to reinvent parts that weren't intended to be used in such a way. So, yeah, my whole thing was like I want to put the cookies on the bottom shelf for everybody, right? Like, so I shared a lot of information. I was very forthcoming with all the information. Anytime people ask me questions, I've got so many Instagram messages over the past 3 years about how did you do this, how did you do that, and that's fine. I can answer whatever. Yeah. If you have the humility to ask me a question, then I'm gonna respond accordingly and help you as best as I can. But I'm not gonna hold your hand. Like, there's been a few instances where people just like really couldn't even scroll back and like find the initiative to go look at a previous reel or an Instagram post. Like, dude, everything you're asking me was already there. So that can be frustrating. But my whole thing was, I don't want the merit of my bikes to be based on how much money was spent. I want it to be based on how much creativity and thought went into the overall machine. Yeah. I don't want one particular part grabbing your attention, saying, "Look at me." Just look at the bike. Look at the whole bike. Look at the bike as a whole, and not one particular component that I spent a ton of money. And I think that's what's being done a lot right now, is that people are building bikes. They're throwing a lot of money into their custom bikes. I don't see a lot of welding and fabrication. I just see a lot of very expensive components that were ordered from a catalog or a website, and then you get the right painter. You know, you check that box off. You get the right finishes, and then okay, I should be all set to win some shows. Yeah, good for you, if that's what you're into. But that's just not me. I want to build something that looks like the factory could have done it. It's not a giant financial investment. It's just a lot of time. I want my hands to touch every part. But then at the same time, I want it to look like, well, it looks like he just bolted together this and that. It looks like an OEM bike. Like, I don't get it. Where's all the fabrication? High five. That's what I was going for. Yeah. Like, you can't even tell where the fabrication was done. That's kind of what I want my soul and my personality to come out in the build.
Well, a lot of the builders that we've that you and I both kind of admire in this scene, they kind of have a similar, kind of take at things. It's like it's repurposing things that already exist, and if you have to make something that doesn't exist, like doing it in the most simplistic way possible. Like, there's to the point of like, I think we were just saying this before you came in here, and it's not a dig at anybody, because we're all at different levels of how we're enjoying the motorcycle world and custom motorcycles and things like that. And I would say that, like, a lot of the shows that take place in Sturgis, like, a lot of the winners are being picked or win off of, I don't want to say it because a lot of my friends are winning these things, so I don't even want this to seem like a dig to them, because it's not. But in general, like, when you have a bike that has a lot of money in it, right, and you as the person looking at it can add up the money in your head because you know that product, because you know the website or the catalog or all this, to me that it doesn't mean the bike's not cool. It doesn't mean anything. It just, I don't want you to be able to do that. That's the best way I could say that. I want you to be able to, you see, the gold FXR, and you have no idea how much it is to build that, because there's only like 3 things that you can probably pick out that actually you can't even pick the wheels out, because those are one-off wheels from Lindahl, right? So the exhaust is handmade. Not the best handmade, but I made it. Yeah. The frame, the tank, the rear fender, like, things are modified. You could get the boosted brad mids, maybe the Lindahl rotors, some of those type of things, right? But same thing to your FXR, the ST version of your FXR. Like, they can probably pick a few things. Oh, well, those are Arlen S risers, and levers and grips. But everything else, can't get those. You can't get those mid controls. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's all handmade.
Can't get that front end like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's like an element to it, and I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the timing. Is that I think that some people, I don't think a lot of people have ever experienced building something over the course of time, right? And when you're a customer on the outside looking in, that could be daunting, because you're like paying money and there's no part on the shelf that you can associate the money you spent for some kind of validation, right? Like, so if I come to you and say, hey, I want to build a bike, and you're like, okay, well, depending on where you want to go with this, it could be between this and this, but you're hand making all these parts. So there's not like in my head, like, okay, well, I know that if I know that when I sell it, the S&S motors are going to help sell, and the Lindahl wheels are going to help sell, and all the Nest parts are going to help sell. But when it's all handmade shit, that the value is in the air. Technically, the handmade parts are going to be worth a lot, or they're more expensive to make than those other parts. But there's not 4 other ones on the shelf to say this is worth this much.
That's right. There's the exclusivity factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm after now. Is I want to ride things that are different, and not glossed over everything I own has to be some one-off bike, but like the FXR I'm building. I wanted something. Scuba Steve's bike, loved it. Felt like, what, this is the first time I've had a feeling of building an FXR, a normal one, that I was this compelled to do, and so I leaned into it. Now, it's almost done,
and it's going to be really, really nice.
Yeah,
I really like the way that it's turned out. I never thought that a Ventura style fairing would ever appeal to me.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It looks right. I like the proportions and stance on the bike, and that's everything. If you don't have proportions and stance, then you're
missing the point.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get out of the era of associating value and quality with just money. You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree. Well, I think we have very similar styles and tastes, and we're probably fanboys of the same builders.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just tell you right now who my favorite. This is like these would go up on my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Of builders like Yaniv, who I didn't get to meet in Sturgis. I was disappointed. I would have loved to have met him.
Mm-hmm.
Yaniv, Oliver Jones, Heath Pinter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 3 of my favorite builders. And why? Because they do things out of the box. They always have a handmade quality to their parts, right? They can take something and repurpose it. That's kind of like what I'm trying to do as well, right? Like we talked about, we all have that similar kind of vein running through us all. I love the work that they do, but uniquely, I could see a bike, let's say a bike of theirs, of each builder, could be unveiled, and you could still pick out. You don't know who built which one, but based on their style. Heath did that one, Yaniv, Oliver. They just all have this unique style. And what I like to I'm trying to get even more and more, just better at this as time goes on, is I want handmade soul. I want that funk to come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want things that look and feel static and just boring. I want there to be a touch of flaws, a touch of nuance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about paint and stuff. Like I love seeing a line that's been hand laid versus taped off, right? I want to see the flaw. I want to see that handmade soul come out. So that you take the sum of all those parts that are handmade and you put them together into one machine, and then that thing is just dripping.
Yeah.
It's got that drip of funk and soul. And that's those 3 men that I named.
Yeah.
I have a great deal of respect for them.
Yeah,
I love their builds.
I think you and I were both talking about Heath's panhead he had done last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
yellow and black.
It's unassuming to, I think, most people. Not most. I'd just say I think a lot of people would not even bat an eye at this thing. But the details that he put into it's literally a performance panhead.
The most inspirational bike for me of last year, bar none.
100%.
And I got to see him when I went to California.
Yeah.
And he laid out the red carpet for me, and it was awesome. I'm happy to know Heath. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
And his skills are next level. But the thing with Heath, he doesn't do a lot of self-promotion and bragging on himself, right? He's very quiet and stuff. So like a bike like that panhead that you're talking about, yes, it did make it to the cover of Hot Bike, but he's not shoving it in your face.
Yeah.
He's very reserved, and I don't know, I love the man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're both back from Sturgis, less than a week for both of us since we've been home. What was the plan going into Sturgis this year? The expectation versus reality.
Well, thank God things worked out for me to where this sounds goofy, but I did not have an FXR to take to Sturgis. And that was my goal, right? Because I owned, the beginning of 2025, I owned 3 FXRs.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have sold since 2025 began, right? I sold my 84 FXR-T a few months back, courtesy of Jaden. Yeah. Thank you, Jaden. And then thank God above, I sold both of my M8 FXRs, which I was getting quite nervous about because these are, This isn't an $8,500 clapper, right? These are more expensive bikes. And thank God the right person came in my path and bought both of them.
Yeah, and that was wild. I think that's probably I'm glad to know that exists, right? Because you start to wonder, it's like, if you're going to build a high-end bike or a bike that's worth, a bike that, an FXR, for instance, if you're trying to get something over 25 grand and you don't have all those boxes checked like we talked about,
right?
Is there a customer base for that, or is it a raffle thing?
Not really. I mean, yeah, and that's where I thought I was going to have to go, which I did not want to do. I did not want to go down the raffle route, because that's typically an admittance of, well, I couldn't get it sold, so we're just going this route.
Yeah,
we're going to do it this way, and that's fine. I mean, people do real well in raffles, but I didn't want to resort to that if I didn't have to. And at the timing and everything, the way it worked out with this guy who I don't put his name on blast. He's a very reserved kind of guy, but he's in California. Incredibly solid man. I have a lot of respect for him. Very successful, obviously. But, I mean, you're talking about bikes that aren't cheap. No, I'm not the highest end builder. I mean, these aren't the highest end FXRs, right? But they're kind of expensive. And to buy both and to put me in a situation for Sturgis where I didn't have a bike to ride was awesome. This is what I had been praying for months and months. And then everything had worked out to where I got a chopper again.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe a lot of people who happen to follow me have been seeing on Instagram. I got a chopper that was built by my good friend Lloyd Stenerson, who lives in Allen. He's an old man now. He's 78 years old. It was the bike that was part of his family. He built this bike in 1974. Handmade frame. Well, he didn't hand make. He's not a fabricator, but he built the bike. Lloyd was a drag racer and a mechanic his entire life.
Yeah.
But anyway, he built this bike in 1974, and just like a lot of people did back then, you gave your bike a name, and he called his Naen. I don't know the backstory of why, but it was Naen. And he took this bike cross country. He actually grew up and lived in Omaha, Nebraska when he built all this. People have seen this on my Instagram. He picked up his wife in '79 on that bike outside of a biker bar in Omaha, Nebraska called Traps. It's no longer there anymore.
Damn.
It was after midnight, and his wife, Linda, she was 19 years old. She had just come back from Sturgis. Her dad was not happy with her. She hopped on some guy's bike. I mean, it wasn't like a romantic thing. It was just kind of a friend. She wasn't really that interested in him. But she had biker chick aspirations is basically what it came down to. Like she idolized and embraced that whole lifestyle and culture, the things you're seeing in magazines, and like, man, that looks incredible. So she went to Sturgis. She got one shirt in Sturgis, and she said, I wore that shirt every day for weeks and weeks. And she said this was probably like a week after Sturgis. She's with that same guy that she rode to Sturgis and back with, and it's outside of this bar called Traps in Omaha after midnight. And this is straight out of this is biker shit right here. Lloyd pulls up on Naen, right? This rigid frame. I didn't mention it. This is a rigid frame shovel, kick only, foot clutch, hand shift. This is magneto fired. This is a bare bones Spartan bike. There's not much to it. And he pulls up, and she's sitting outside on the curb, just kind of hanging out outside, just enjoying the weather. And he pulls up and says to her, "You want to go for a ride?" And she said, "Hell yeah, I do." And she got on the back, and they have been inseparable ever since 1979. Like this is biker lore kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they have had a wonderful marriage. Like, from getting picked up as a biker chick outside of a bar. Yeah. I've known Lloyd for over 15 years, and every time I go to their house, it's just all affection, lots of hugs and smooches. They just absolutely love each other. And it all started because she hopped on the back of that bike that I now own. So the story was, Lloyd, like I mentioned, he was a drag racer. He actually held a record in the hand shift class on this bike. I've got pictures of him on this bike on the drag strip with the front end like 2 or 3 feet off of the ground. It's crazy. Yeah. But as he was getting older, even though this bike was like it's part of the family, right? Like, oh, they always refer to her as Nadine. It's another person, right? You're attaching a personality to the machine. It's not just that Harley we own. No.
Yeah.
This was here at the origins of us.
Kind of gives it a soul.
Of course. But anyway, as he was getting older, I think it was 2016, he just realized, I'm getting too old for a bike that's this hot. And this is a high compression shovel. Like it's a beast. And so he decided it was just time to sell it. And I knew Lloyd at the time. I'd go over to his house. Like he's kind of been like a mentor to me. Like he's one of those guys that worked out of his garage. He had a legitimate business as a Harley mechanic.
Yeah.
But he just happened to work out of his garage. It's Lloyd Stennerson V-Twin Solutions in Allen. And he just realized it was time to sell. So he put it for sale, and it was a lot of money. It was like way more than the bike was worth. But Gary from the Chopper Builder's Handbook, he bid on it. Like he's like, I'll take it. But oddly enough, he was also an older guy. So the bike, it was too much for him too. So you got two older gentlemen trading bikes here, but it's too much for either of them. And so Gary, who bought it, he paid big money for it. He paid too much money for it. And shortly after, he moved away from Texas and he moved to Northern California, to Napa. And because the bike was too much for him and he didn't have room for it, he just put it in the backyard where it sat for the past 8 years. That bike was literally sitting outside and rotting until, basically December 2022. I had got notified through mutual friends, that Gary had passed away. And a lot of people know of Gary for putting the Chopper Builder's Handbook out there and letting people peek behind the curtain to see, oh, this is how we made frames and springers back in the day. Because he had a real legitimate history in manufacturing and chopper building for decades. So whenever you see like a tube, a square or rectangular tubing frame jig, the common one with the two rails and then like a neck post and all that, that's Gary that put that out there.
Like
that's
the chop saw style.
Yes, that's all Gary.
Yeah.
That's people just ripping off Gary's design. But he said that's how we did it. It's not all about having like precision Blanchard ground, like my table and all that. He said, yes, that's nice to have, but the backyard builder wasn't doing stuff like that. You could still achieve a very high degree of precision and accuracy with the tubing method that we talked about, or that I just described, because there's a lot of tolerances that are incorporated into the manufacturing of the tubes and that sort of thing. So anyway, Gary dies in 2022, and they asked me, the family and the mutual friend said, Cory, you know more people, social media more than us. Can you at least put an Instagram post or something out there to let people know that Gary has passed away? And so I did. And I was obviously in communication with Gary's widow, and I knew that bike was sitting out there just rotting, because I had heard through mutual people. Yeah. And I said, listen, whenever the dust settles and you're ready, you let me know and I want to buy that bike. And I offered a certain price, and she just wasn't ready. And you just lost your spouse. I don't know, 40 years or however long. You don't want to
start thinking about you don't want to put money in the equation. Yeah.
Not at all. So I would periodically reach back out to her, like every, 4 to 6 months. Hey, I'm still here if you're ready to sell. She just was never quite ready until finally, I can't remember if it was a year. Man, I lose track of time. No. Yeah, so since 2022, I would circle back with her occasionally, and she was never quite ready until earlier this year. It might have been, maybe this was March-ish or something. Yeah. I had kind of forgotten about it, and I sent her a text message out of nowhere, and she's like, "Yeah, let's do it. That's fine." And I basically explained to her, I'm not just an opportunist who's coming in to get your relics of pain, that you've gone through because I want to capitalize on it. No, I want to honor my friend Lloyd and take his family member and bring her back home. And I said, I'm also going to be honoring your husband, Gary. Gary wouldn't want to see a machine like this just rotting. He'd want to see this thing being ridden and appreciated in the way that it should be. Yeah. So basically, we came to terms. She agreed. She's like, yep, this is the right thing to do. Gary would be so happy. And she said, your friend Lloyd would be so happy. I said, let's do it. So I reached out to my friend Dave Bauer, Cycle Center on Instagram, wonderful man in Northern California. And I said, Dave, I need your help. Can you please go pick up this bike for me and rescue it? And he said, absolutely, I'll be there in 2 days. So he went, pulled the tarp out. The bike was covered in bird's nests and cobwebs, and it was disgusting. It's covered in rust. It wasn't good. So Dave and his wife Wendy went and rescued that bike for me. And not only did he do that, he facilitated the shipping of that bike for me. He handled everything. Dave, I love you. He's the best. So he used haul bikes and got the bike sent to me, and it took a few weeks. It was probably 5 weeks or so by the time, because haul bikes has to have a certain number of bikes going to this distribution warehouse or whatever, right? They can't just drop everything.
Yeah, it's not like a hot shot guy. It's like sometimes when we had a bike come here from Milwaukee, like my brother, we got a bike for him from Milwaukee when Tommy first moved up there, and it took like 6 to 8 weeks to get it because the shipper left there and does this zigzag all through the Northeast before it finally makes its way down here to drop it off. So it's kind of crazy. There are faster people, but
you're going to pay for a premium. Yeah, I think in this case they initially picked up the bike from Dave in Northern California, and it went to a Vegas distribution or warehouse, whatever. And then from there, they wait for a bunch of bikes to gather, and then there's another one in Oklahoma City. And then from there, then they'll start.
They've moved up to like that point now where they have distribution centers. That's pretty cool.
They do. And then by the time it gets
you get a job there, Devin. Start dispatching.
That's essentially what I do. I work in logistics. So and it just makes sense. It's because it's got to be profitable for them to be able to move that stuff.
Of course. So in the 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was for this bike to arrive, I'm just chomping at the bit. I can't believe this has finally happened. Because when Lloyd had owned this bike, I was literally going to his house for years. I go all the time and visit and just hang out.
Yeah.
And I was constantly looking at this bike, studying it, and just like, man, Lloyd, I love this bike. Talking to him about it, learning about the history of every little thing. And every little part has a backstory. Lloyd is battling dementia and Parkinson's right now. So he can't remember everything, but there still are certain things that stick with him. He's like, yeah, I remember so-and-so made that rear motor mount for me. And he made it. It was an old man machinist that made that for me because I had broke the other one, and he made it 1 1/8 inch thick steel. It doesn't even require a bolt on the bottom. It's just threaded. It's tapped. Never seen it before. A freaking rear motor mount. And he said that old man made it with such precision. You just snapped it on the seat post before welding, and it wouldn't even move. That's how, just every little story of all these things that he remembers. Like I posted on Instagram, the Burkhart magneto, right? That nose cone. That was, I believe, Mr. Burkhart was, I can't remember his first name. He was the first to come out with a way to take a magneto. Guys who still wanted magneto-fired bikes, well, typically that was something that was applicable to the generator-style bikes. But in 1970, when an alternator-style bike came out, now you only had a nose cone. Well, somebody had to figure out how to do all that, and Burkhart is, I believe, the first who came out with that.
Yeah.
So it's this finned aluminum cover. It's absolutely beautiful. Yes, Taiwan Ted is repopping them now, and the quality is garbage. But this is an OG one from the 70s that Lloyd literally, he still remembers this. He said, I waited 3 consecutive days outside of that Burkhart shop to get my hands on this thing. This is the shop in Long Beach. It's down the street from Oliver Jones. He says because they were busy tuning their nitro race bikes because that's what they were known for, and they didn't have time to finish the machining and all that. And then finally, like, all right, man, here you go. We finally got your part done. But just all that kind of history and that provenance, I don't know, man. I love hearing all that stuff. But okay, so anyway, the bike finally does arrive from Haul Bikes, and it's nasty, it's disgusting, it needs some going through. And there were certain things that needed to change, like it had this big side draft Weber carb. For people who aren't familiar, that's a literal car that comes off of a carburetor that comes off of a car, like an MG or a Triumph, like those British-style cars. It's a literal car carburetor. But anyway, I couldn't run that thing because I'm not learning a new carb platform, number one. And number two, I couldn't even get my foot on the foot pegs because I'm too lanky, and it was a very difficult reach because this carb's just in your way, pushing your knee out far to the right. So I got rid of that. I put on an SNS Super E. Lloyd had the headlight real high. I moved it down. But at the same time, I'm kind of like going through things on the bike, just making sure, like, man, I hope it runs, right? First thing I did when it got here, I kicked it over to make sure it wasn't seized. Because when something's sitting outside, I don't know the condition of anything, like if water's getting in there and if it's locked up or whatever. But thankfully, it wasn't locked up. It turned over by kicking. I mean, it was puking oil everywhere. But it took me, several days of going through everything, like checking the push rods and changing the oil, just basic common sense motorcycle maintenance.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that freaking magneto, he had an old Fairbanks Morse magneto body that, like, in 2013 when he had redone the bike, he had sent to Morse Magneto. Still had all those Morse Magneto guts inside of that old housing. Mm-hmm. It was all Morse. And I hooked it up to a drill, like on the bench, to see if it was still sparking. I mean, that thing worked like it was brand new. Mm. And this is my first Magneto bike, by the way, so I had a lot to learn. So I reached out to my buddy Reese in Michigan, Reese Zostra, and he helped me out a lot because he's a Magneto guru. Mm. But so anyway, I went through the Magneto. I learned how to set and time a Magneto. So I actually was able to learn new skills in preparing this bike.
I think that's one of the things I do kind of take from you a lot is the challenge of adding more skills to the table. You know, and even though, like, for reference of like what I'm talking about, like the FXR, like the transmission on it, I'm like, I have this way of thinking that I don't feel like there's anything within, if some random dudes that I've gotten drunk with at a bar are building bridges in America, I'm sure I can rebuild this transmission. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a process. It's like, you could figure it out. It's not like some unattainable amount of knowledge, or there's a requirement, a certificate. Like, that's just all that doesn't exist in this. So watched a couple of videos, kind of asked around, got a few opinions, and like took it apart and put it back together. And I had you kind of like go through the gears for me real quick after I'd already put it together, just to kind of like double check my work. But it opened up this other part of me now that wants to know how all these things work, and not just be like, I can put a cam in and paint your bike. Now I can put a cam in and rebuild the transmission and paint your bike. Start adding to that list of things. You know what I'm saying?
There's always a first one, right? We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't just inherently know this stuff. You just got to go and do it. And most of the time, after you're done with it, you're like, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, after a few days or a couple of weeks of working on the bike, I was finally able to.
When did the bike show up?
Oh, I think this was in May.
Okay, so it was before the FXR sold, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. So I did have a little bit of an overlap where I was. Yeah, where I had the FXRs and then Naen shows up, but then it was kind of like right before July 4th, we worked out a deal with the guy who bought the FXRs, but it was awesome because I knew it had backed me into a corner. Like, I have to get Naen running because this is my Sturgis bike for the year. So I went a long way around of answering your question about what was my plans for Sturgis. But so basically what I did, I was able to get Naen running. And one thing I did not mention is that after I had secured the deal with Gary's widow and I knew that Naen was coming back home, I let Lloyd and Linda know. Because it had been a few years since I had talked to them, honestly, just because of life and, because sometimes, and honestly, it was just hard. I hate to say this, but it was just hard for me to see Lloyd struggling. And sometimes you just kind of stay away. Like, I don't want to remember him as struggling. Yeah. I want to remember him as strong. Yeah. And, so anyway, it had been a few years since I seen him, but I called Linda and told her, and literally her and Lloyd were crying. Nice. To know that Naen was coming back home, and they were so happy that it was coming back to somebody who was truly going to love and appreciate the machine like they would. So I got the bike running, took it to them, showed it. They absolutely love it. They're over the moon. They're so happy to see it. And so now I knew I had probably, I don't know, maybe like a month or so before Sturgis was going to be here. So my whole goal was to make this bike as dependable as possible. So every night that I could, because it's, even though this summer has been mild, relatively mild, I still like going out in the evenings, like after work or whatever, and it's starting to get dark, at dusk. Yeah. I'd go ride any night that I could, 40 to 50 miles. Shake it down. Maybe our summers have been best for that. I've been doing the same thing. Just a little loop out here in the back country from the shop or my house,
30 miles, maybe 20 miles, maybe even 10 miles, and it's just like, man, this is like
you get your fix, right?
The perfect. There's some roads out here that I've just slept on. I lived out here for quite a few years now, and I'm just like, every time I think of riding, it's not something I want to, hey guys, come over to the house and we're gonna go do this loop real quick. No, it's like, this is for me, just to get away for a minute, reset, or wind down. Yeah. And then so that's kind of, I'm at that point too where I found a little loop or two or variations of that are check a box.
Yeah, I mean so my whole goal is let me shake this thing down as much as possible because I don't want it to break down in Sturgis, right? So I ended up putting about 600 miles of shakedown in the weeks leading up to Sturgis, and I felt very, very confident. I tried a few different things on the Magneto.
Because you're having a little bit of a hard time kicking it for a while.
Yeah,
that bike night.
Well, the bike night was because I had just changed some carburetor parts as well, and I had changed the Magneto cap in the same day. There's too many variables that I introduced.
So that way you can't pinpoint where it might have been.
No, but anyway, I mean, I basically the things that I had tried is this type of Magneto, like maybe for people who have seen people with Magneto bikes, you see them kind of turn the whole body like to retard the timing when they're kicking, and then once the bike gets running, you see them reach over and twist the Magneto and put it in a different position for full advance. So you can't do that with this style of Magneto. This type of Burkhardt base, it's a fixed base. This comes off of an XLCH Sportster, so that's a Sportster from the 60s. Some of those did have a little twist grip, right? But it was a whole different mechanism and a cable where you could actually twist the body. Bottom line is I can't do that on this bike. It's a fixed base. So what does that mean? I'm always at full advance. So that means you run the risk of it kicking back. You don't have a way to retard your timing. It's fixed. And as a matter of fact, 3 days before Sturgis, Nadine did kick back, and I sprained the crap out of my ankle.
Damn.
Swollen and purple, but I just had to grin and bear it. So, but anyway, so one thing I had tried is that Morris makes something called an MRA. I think it stands for Manual Retard in Advance. It's a cap, like this clear cap that you get, and it's got this little lever that you can swing back and forth, and it adjusts the timing. You can manually retard your timing for easier kicking. I couldn't get it to work properly. Like it was taking dozens of kicks to get the bike started rather than a handful of kicks. So the trade-off for me that I see right now is that I leave it in the fixed position, and it starts pretty darn easy. But there is always a chance it could kick back. And I mean, that's just part of a kickstart bike. It could kick back, right? But it just so happened the way it hit me that day, it sprained my ankle. But, I mean, it's okay. It does start very easy. So anyway, we go to Sturgis, and my whole goal was just to enjoy the heck out of Sturgis on a chopper. I knew that Sturgis was going to hit different on a chopper, right? Not just any chopper. Again, a high compression, rigid frame, jockey shift, shovel, rigid shovel. And it's just something about riding a jockey shift bike that just makes the whole experience more fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, boy.
Well, you know, I definitely didn't think that you would never go back to choppers, but I didn't think it would happen so quick.
Yeah, I agree. I had no intentions of going back to choppers. This is just something that organically happened, and when I had the chance to buy this bike, I wasn't going to pass this up. This is one of my dream bikes that I wanted, and yeah, like it or not, I'm getting Nadine. Like this bike's going to stay with me forever, as long as I can, right? Ride it to the degree, and as long as I can still kickstart it, and treat it the way that it needs to be treated. So anyway, we get out to Sturgis, and basically, we trailer Sturgis every year, and we stay in Rapid City. But we always focus on riding in Sturgis. We don't we do some shows, but it's not the focus. Like we typically will ride every year in Sturgis. The crew is me and Marcus, and we go with my buddy Shane. Shane married a girl from Rapid City, so we get to stay with her family.
Nice.
And they treat us like kings. Cooking every night, breakfast in the morning. It is a Mac Daddy house. Like, it's very nice. It's actually kind of like mid-century modern, but it's just oozing with character, and it's just the best experience. I cannot stress enough how much I love Sturgis. That whole week is like Mecca for me.
What I like about it too is that, just like you're talking about this house, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of stories like that where these neighborhoods are kind of ingrained into the culture of Sturgis. Or Rapid City is the biggest city close to that. You know what I mean? So every little town, every little home or neighborhood has like a couple of these houses where people are coming from out of town. And you know,
this family is like old Rapid City. Everybody knows these people.
Yeah.
Their name is well known. Like he was the optometrist. She was the whatever. You know, they're old school Rapid City.
Yeah, I mean, as I've been getting deeper and deeper into this mid-century modern stuff, it's like that, you know, your city center, and then as it grows out, the rings of a tree trunk, as you will, the style of homes are going to find in certain rings as you go further and further out. And so typically a lot of the mid-century modern homes, especially the ones that my wife and I are really interested in, are located within like a mile or two from a city center. You know, sometimes like Dallas a little bit, it spreads a little bit further out, but like Waxahachie, about a mile and a half outside the downtown, you got a ring of nice mid-century modern style homes that kind of that exist in that spot. So
and their whole the lot that they have, the lot that this house was built on is very strategic. It's one of the highest spots like in the area. So they really, you know, they built their house on the top of a large hill, and they could just see over so much of Rapid. Cool. Yeah. But then eventually over the years they sold more and more. So there's a development around them. So they built new houses around them, but they're still top of the hill.
Speaking of mid-century, so you know, I had to go run out and see FXR Mike because, you know, big shout out FXR Mike just saved my day with the rear master cylinder for this FXR build. And I can't remember if he was a Patreon or the last time he was on the podcast. He was talking about how him and his wife sold their old house in Haltom City and he bought a new house. And I got to see it today. Sick mid-century modern house.
Really?
With the absolutely perfect size backyard. He showed me where he's going to put his shop. I love that stuff. His home is badass. I'm so proud and happy for that dude. You know, he kind of, you know, he was heavy into the bike world and then, you know, really changed his focus to be more family first, and just seeing how much his family has grown and how tight they are, and watching him and his daughter, like when they post on, you know, social media and stuff. It's like that's sick. I'd rather see that than another FXR come out of that dude.
Yeah, that's
you know
great.
What I mean?
He's winning at life.
Yeah.
I love Mike. I wish we'd see him more.
We will when it's time. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about like, I think that's the perspective that I'm trying to adopt. Is it, you know, there's not a stopwatch or there's not a timer. There is a time. There's a big timer, right? But there's not a timer. In like, okay, if I couldn't make Sturgis at all, like I couldn't physically go, it's not the end of the world. You know, I do want to go every year I can. I want to be able to say that I have all these under my, all these notches on my bedpost of going to this thing. I don't know if I would notch my bedpost for Sturgis, but
we get it.
Yeah, the analogy is there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a part of me that's starting to maybe be more comfortable with, so not so much comfortable with failing, but trying not to put so much out there to where I have to live up to something. So, hey guys, this is a FXR that I'm trying to build for Sturgis. That's the goal. I'd like to get it done for them. But it's not like I'm going to be in Sturgis on this bike. So like messaging, because I have to be a lot more public with my life because of the podcast. And you got to put your stories, your shit on here. You have to fill in these conversations and carry them going, right? And so my life, I end up putting out a lot more things, or have in the past, that become very like stressful and make me very anxious because I feel like I can't live up to my word. Even though like no one's holding me to it, like, you know, but it's like, man, I said I was going to do it. It's kind of like when I went on that trip last summer, like the 7-week trip, there was so much pressure and anxiety going into that trip that I kind of didn't even want to do it once it was time. And it's because I started talking about doing almost a year prior.
Too much build up. And then it was just so much overwhelming pressure that I created for myself. Nobody else created it. That's kind of helped me start to change the way I do things.
I see.
Still not perfect. Like it's not like a, you know, that's why I keep trying to tell people that I consult. It's like change is not like a light switch. It's a fader switch, like that one right there. Dimmer. It's just a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Dude,
you know,
there's no manual to get all this stuff right? You're learning as you go, just like
you finally got something right and got you some peak designs on your phone.
Yeah, that's because of you. I liked your setup on your chopper, and I'm like, I need to do this. I'm tired of that big X Ram mount thing. So
the claw.
Yeah, the claw. Like the Von Erichs.
Most unreliable mount ever, too.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to figure out a way to like make a sponsor me video for them. That's I've talked about it many times. I think we were talking about it at a podcast, like a garage talk recently. That's one brand that I've already bought all the products. I believe in the products.
Same.
And I would love to, I don't even know what capacity we could work together, but to be able to have that brand and me associated would be like, perfect.
I've been very impressed. And I was influenced by what I saw on your bike and the setup, and it was just so positive to lock the bike, lock the phone on your bike, on the mount. And it's not going anywhere. And it's got the vibration dampening in it. It's just, it seemed really smart and like well thought out. So I'm all
Form
about
factor is clean and sleek.
Yeah.
You're not a colorful thing up there, not a whole bunch of twisting and turning and
I love it. It can be done with one hand. Okay, so
so you're in Sturgis, like the
Yeah.
rides, like what was the ride you were kind of like focused on this year? Do you kind of have a route you do every year?
Well, no, we change it up every year. We're constantly trying to find like new routes. We want to go on the road like less traveled. We've already resolved the fact that like if we could go back to Sturgis every year and not do Iron Mountain Road and Needles Highway and all that, we would be perfectly fine with it because it's too congested to enjoy during bike week. You can't ride it like you want to. Many times it feels like you're just in a parade.
Yeah.
Spearfish, I'm fine without doing Spearfish again. If it's going to be a parade, we can go find other things. And last year what we found was, the bottom of Spearfish is called Cheyenne Crossing. Well, instead of going back to Sturgis, go towards Wyoming.
Right, yeah.
And that was epic for us. We just couldn't believe, like, how is this road not packed? All it is curves and slight elevation changes. It was just so much fun.
Yeah.
So Cheyenne Crossing, we did that to Four Corners. Yeah, Cheyenne Crossing to Four Corners, Wyoming, and then we went back and did it again, and just turned around and did it again. It was so much fun.
When we come up through Colorado, that's the way we come in through. Like you end up going through Lusk, which then takes you to that Four Corners area. And then that takes you into the Cheyenne Crossing and into Lead and Deadwood and all that.
So you know how every year when you go to Sturgis, there's always those road map things that they're in every store, right? You just peel one, and it's just okay. Here's the Black Hills. Every year when we would go, I'd always see this one particular. The main highway that runs north and south is 385 that takes you into like Lead and Deadwood and all that down to Rapid. Everything to the right. To the east of 35 is all populated and busy, right? You got Nemo Road, you got Van Arker Canyon, you got all that kind of stuff. But to the left, it's mostly a lot of trails and gravel roads and that sort of thing. There's not that much. But I always saw this one little lake called Deerfield Lake. And it looked like there was just one little line, like a little black line on the map, and it just stopped at Deerfield Lake because that's where the pavement ended. Yeah. And I don't know why, but I just made a point this year. I'm like, boys, we have to at least go see what this is like. And basically this road, the road I think is set road number 17. I think that's what it is. And it starts in Hill City. So in Hill City, you just follow a sign that says Deerfield Lake. It puts you on 17, and all it is this.
Damn.
It's just curves and curves and curves and up and down and down. And then I had got wind through watching a YouTube channel. I watch these people every year. It's a couple called Bob and Tam's Excellent Adventures. They're just an older couple.
That's a cool name.
Bro,
Took it from Bill and Ted.
listen, I love they're just an older couple in their 60s, I think. And they just tell you about all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
They get you hyped up about it. But I mean, they're not in our scene or anything.
Yeah.
But in one of the videos that they did, they talked about, hey, they're putting in new pavement here from Rochford. I know you said you hadn't been to Rochford before.
Yeah.
That's the Moonshine Gulch Saloon.
Yeah.
Right? So Rochford is basically, that's another one of these examples of a place where there's just this one road in, and that's it. That's how you get in, and it's how you got to get back out.
Yeah.
Well, to get to Rochford was another magnificent road. This is like to get
Out of
to
Lead,
Rochford,
right?
out of Lead,
Yeah.
right? You kind of go down for
I haven't
15
been yet.
miles. It's 15 miles again of a lot of curves, and there's hardly anybody in it. But when you finally arrive in Rochford, there's typically you might have 20, 30 bikes out there because there's this little saloon and they're serving food and everything. And it's just a cool spot, man. It's just, I don't know, man. It's oozing with character. Well, now, the reason I've said all that is that now from Deerfield Lake to Rochford is fresh black pavement. They just finished it the week before Sturgis. Matter of fact, no, they were finishing up while we were there. We had to stop and wait for a work truck to escort us the last, like, I don't know, mile or two.
Yeah.
Wait for a pilot car or whatever.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that they've now finished it. So you can ride all the way up from Lead, basically, when you turn off to go to Rochford. Let's say you're coming from the north and we're going to head south. You ride from Lead, you go down 15 miles to Rochford, and it's nothing but this. You get to Rochford, and now you have another way to get out. You don't have to go back up the way you came.
Kind of, you can loop it now.
You can loop it now, and now you start heading towards Hill City on the most magnificent, fresh blacktop that is just full of sweepers and elevation changes, and it's a secret. Nobody does this. Well, now people are going to start talking about it now that they've especially connected these two towns, Deerfield to Rochford. So anybody who's listening, if you're a Sturgis goer and you go next year, you will thank me if you take this route. Go from Hill City to Rochford to Lead, or do the reverse path.
Yeah.
It is so unbelievably epic. It made us feel like we were in Sturgis during the off season. There wasn't no parades or anything. We were alone most of the time. Every now and then we'd see another bike maybe going in the other direction.
But it's not like 385 or any of that
God,
stuff.
no, dude, and it's just the most magnificent sweepers, especially when you're dealing with fresh blacktop that was just laid and it's so sticky. Dude, it's amazing. So if you like twisties and you like going fast and sweepers, you will thank me.
There's a part of Sturgis that I really enjoy that's like, you know, when you go out towards Buffalo Chip and like you just keep going on that main road, what Lizelle, whatever it turns into. So go past Buffalo Chip, it's just straight, but you can see you got the Bear Butte in the distance.
That's where you took pictures of Hans.
Yeah, I like that road.
I never went past Buffalo Chip.
It's not the air quotes quintessential like thing that people like chase like when they go to a place. Like all I remember is every time I go on a trip with people, I remember Matt Darton and Jake Swan Dive, when we went to California, like we both, you know, we did all this stuff out of like what's the Prescott,
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I could really go for a straight road right now. Just I don't know,
it's too much.
Just want to cruise. So it's like a balance of things. Like you can go hit all these roads, like all this, some of the nicest stuff that exists in America is right there in the Black Hills, but also some of the best vantage points outside of it, like riding around, even like when you're riding through parts of like that one road that runs alongside the Black Hills that takes you from like Nebraska, Hot Springs into like Rapid City. You're kind of riding, you got the Black Hills on your left, and then you just got these plains. I fucking love it.
Love it.
I love it. I feel like it's not Interstate 35 or 75 here in Dallas. It's like this whole different experience. And there's an anticipation because that's usually the way we ride into it. So, you know, you're like, oh, there they are. We're fucking here, you know. Some buffalo running around over there. You're like, this is it. And I just like that openness to it.
Yeah, I mean, every road is a different feeling, but this is a lot of twisties.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of opportunities to pass if you do happen to get caught behind somebody or whatever. But man, I cannot stress enough how everybody should ride it. You will have a new little secret route that not many people know about.
Britta actually brought this up the other day. We were at dinner and she was talking about. She goes, I feel like there's, you know, because the first time I went to Sturgis, she went with me. Like it was 2014, and she's like, you know, when we were there in Sturgis in 14. And she said, mind you, of course, the circles that we ran in and the world we were a part of was much different than it is now. She's like, I just don't feel like I saw a lot of like our like demographic, or even though we're now 10 years older now, but like I just didn't feel like there was a lot of young people there. And this is her perspective. And she's like, now I feel like it's all the stuff that all these events, you know, the Buffalo Chips doing stuff, Harley's doing stuff, the thrashing thing, the Sassy Pants thing, the Camp Zero. Like there's a lot more youth-centric style events that are starting to kind of take place. And as, you know, to Thrashing's credit, 700 to 900 bikes at that thing?
It was one of those. It was a lot.
I don't know any. I mean, I know that they do the Legends ride in Sturgis, and I know that Carrie Hart and them used to do that, what was it, a Good Ride or something like that? But other than that, like, I don't know how big those things ever were. I don't think 700
But
people.
This is the first time we've ever went to an organized ride in Sturgis. And this was on Tuesday, right? So this was the day before we left. By this point, I was already on another bike, which I can get into,
Yeah.
right? That's a whole nother story. But, I mean, it was waves of people coming in. It filled up like 2 big parking lots at this Sturgis Elementary School. And it had to be, the groups had, or you had to be let out in different groups. I was just lucky enough to be somewhat early, and we got shirts.
Yeah.
And tacos, but shirts and tacos ran out too. So
Yeah. 700 T-shirts is, you know,
I don't think they.
it's
had
a
that.
lot of money.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they. Yeah, the shirts ran. Basically, listen, we were in group 2. I don't know how many groups were total. Maybe there was 4. Let's just say there was 4. We were at the beginning of group 2, and shortly after we got there, they said shirts ran out.
Yeah, so it didn't last too long, huh?
No. But anyway, I was already on a different bike by then.
So when did yeah. First off, you're not really the guy that I ever thought would blow a tranny in both ways.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, in both sides of the
Lord.
coin there.
Yeah, I didn't think this transmission, I'll say transmission,
Okay.
was going to have
Spoiler
issues.
alert, Jason.
Yeah.
You didn't even let him say it.
Hey.
Spoiler alert.
Man.
Well, I
man.
had that good you know, that
Yeah.
good punchline that I had to throw in there.
Yeah, you've been chomping
Especially
at
since your whole name is transmission based.
That's right. It is. It is. So, yeah, basically on so everything I described earlier, this whole Deerfield to Rochford and all that, that was day 1, and that was an amazing discovery. But on day 2, we had plans to do a bigger loop. We wanted to go into Wyoming. So our plan was to go from Rapid City to Custer to Newcastle, Wyoming, up through Wyoming, and then you come back in. Then you come back in
Through
the
the
Four
Four
Corners
Corners, yeah.
to Cheyenne Crossing, and then we're going to go into Sturgis. So we had our some of our Dallas peeps. We were going to meet up in Rapid City, and we did. We met up with Wes and his girl and their dog, on the Goldwing.
Yeah.
And then Katie and Scooby Steve. And so we met up in Rapid, and we did this route, and we had the most freaking amazing time.
Semi low traffic, or what would you say?
It was not bad at all. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad at all. I mean, yeah, when you're going through Custer and all that, you're hitting. But once you leave Custer and you start heading towards Wyoming, no, dude, it wasn't bad at all. Occasionally, you'll come across some people you have to go around. And then we also had we kind of had a tour guide that day because the people we're staying with, one of their sons, Justin. I mean, he's a local, so he was kind of leading the way, and he likes to rip too. Mm-hmm. So him and Katie got along real well because they're both really fast. And but anyway, we had an epic ride. I mean, I'm on this freaking bare bones chopper, and this bike, Nadine, is a freaking ripper. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still don't know the displacement. It's kind of a mystery. I know the stroke because I can remove the inspection hole, right, the timing hole, and I can see the serial number on the flywheels. And I called SNS, and they're like, "Oh, that's stroker flywheels. That's 4 3/4." Mm-hmm. But I don't know the bore, and I'm not just going to let curiosity cause me to start tearing into this motor because I have to know the bore,
Yeah.
But it's more than likely it's a stock bore. Mm-hmm. So if it's a stock bore and 4 3/4 stroke, that's an 88 cubic inch motor, and a compression ratio. I don't remember what it is. It's in it might be like 10.5 to 1 or 11, but it's high compression. But anyway, this bike, Nadine has some pep. She's very respectable. Like I'm riding with people on M8s and stuff, and they're like, "God dang, that bike rips." Of course they're gonna beat me on a drag. If we're on a drag strip, they're gonna pull away from me. But I mean, we were literally doing triple-digit speeds, and I'm on this freaking rigid chopper, just vibrating and holding on, and we had the best time. The weather was perfect, and then basically. In this whole loop, I think it was like 140 miles, I think, to go from Rapid through the loop and back to Sturgis. And if the breakdown could have happened at any point, it happened as we were pulling back into Sturgis. So we were almost done with Boulder Canyon and getting back to Sturgis, and something went kabang. And basically, I knew it was catastrophic because of the way that it happened. And there was just oil leaking out everywhere from under the bike. Like I knew this wasn't good, so we had to trailer it and.
So what did it feel like when
Rapid.
it happened? What?
Well, it was just a very loud bang and like some very loud horrific noises coming from the transmission, like like
Yeah,
something
it wasn't
in there.
like a lockup type thing.
Well, it kind of sounded like it was a lockup, and then it would overcome it.
Oh, yeah, that's what probably broke.
Yeah,
more
so
things.
I knew there was something, and part of me at first, like my immediate reaction was to call Irish Rich, like Rich, but he's like, man, Cory, I don't have room for you, and I don't even have any 4-speed stuff, and I'm like, you know what, Rich, I'm not even gonna worry about it. At this point, I'm not gonna go scrambling and ruin my whole Sturgis, just frantically trying to find parts and tools to take apart a 4-speed in Sturgis. Like, no, I'm not doing this. But I didn't find this out till I got back home. The day after we got home, I have to know what caused this. I just have to. I took everything apart and I was able to figure out that actually Lloyd had put the wrong retaining ring on the main shaft. There's a groove that holds third gear in place. Yeah. And without this retaining ring, things go very, very bad. So basically, he had the wrong ring altogether. It was too thick for the groove. And this style of ring, even my boy Reese is like, no, that's the wrong ring, period. Like, that's for another application. Like, he probably found this ring in his stash and be like, oh, okay, that's the one. Let me put this one on. Yeah. And listen, I told you, I shook this bike down.
So it worked for a while.
Hundreds of miles. But what was keeping it in place? Just the sheer squeeze of the ring. But it wasn't fully seated because the ring was 30 thousandths too wide for the groove.
So
it's never fully seated. Yeah. It's just holding on with tension. But clearly, when we're ripping, doing triple-digit speeds and riding hard, Marcus was hilarious. He's like, well, Cory, you wonder what's wrong with your transmission, and here you are, just, I mean, like
little testing.
Yeah, like, little wheelies and kind of burnouts and stuff. Like, hello.
Yeah, having a good time.
Duh. Yeah, I mean, I don't take it easy on that bike at all. And it does really, the thing that really concerns me in the twisties is this bike is so low to the ground.
Yeah.
Just like my other choppers in the past, you start concerning about like tripoding the thing, like grinding. Yeah. And I had a moment before Sturgis in Texas where I was in a big left-hand sweeper and I'm leaned over and I start grinding the kickstand and it starts pushing me wide like towards a ditch, and that'll make you crap your pants, So basically what I was trying to do, and Katie and I talked about this, is like the goal should be to keep the bike as upright as possible, to go around a corner the fastest. Like, you can use your body English, right, to shift your weight bias to load the side of a tire, but you can still steer over here. And it's not just always sitting square and leaning, which is very common, right? And I started implementing that where I would just hang over a little bit more, like bring your hand closer to the way you're turning, but in an attempt to keep the bike more upright. Yes, it is still leaning, but the goal is not to see how far you can lean. The goal is to keep the bike as upright as possible while still taking a corner as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so like if you look at how like racers, right? They're leaned over on their bike, but they're also off the bike still too.
Way off.
So technically they're still kind of in the same concept of what you and Katie are talking about, where the bike is more upright as possible, but the weight's onto the side.
Yeah, even though you'll see like a Marc Marquez, right, who was one of the first to start scraping elbows, the lean angle is insane. But you're right, he's hanging off of the bike, and just because he's carrying so much corner speed, the lean angle is something that we thought wasn't even achievable, but he's leaning over even further than that lean angle, and he's scraping elbows, and now his helmet's coming close to the pavement.
Yeah.
At
100 miles an hour.
Elbow and shoulders.
Yes. Yeah. So it's crazy. So basically, I knew my Sturgis experience was up in the air because Naen was done. Even though I didn't know what had happened, I knew something catastrophic had happened to the transmission. And then here we go again. My buddy Dave from Cycle Center, the same man who rescued Naen in Napa, California. He has a similar story to my friend Shane. He married a gal from Rapid City as well. So they are always in Rapid City. Yeah. And he keeps several bikes in Rapid City. So every time, he's got 5 boys, him and his wife, Wendy. So whenever they come back to Rapid, everybody's got a bike to ride plus an extra or 2. So I called him up. I said, Dave, I feel terrible having to even propose this question for you. But I said, my transmission just blew up. Is there any chance you have a spare bike that I can ride? He said, yep, I'll see you in 15 minutes. He freaking delivered a Dyna to me, a Dyna Street Bob to me 15 minutes later. Here you go, buddy. Enjoy your Sturgis. Don't worry about it. And we had the most fun. So he completely salvaged my whole freaking bike week.
What day did this happen?
So the transmission blew up at the end of day 2. That meant I still had 3 more full days of riding. Because we're gone for 7, right? The first day at the beginning is commuting. The last day to go home is commuting. We have 5 in the middle of riding. So I had my 2 full days.
Yeah.
So I at least had that, and the experience was awesome. It was awesome to be on a chopper in Sturgis. I wish I would have been able to share the bike with more people, right? Take it to like maybe some old school shows or something. That was my goal. But it wasn't in the cards. And I lost no sleep over it. I didn't cry about it or anything. I was just so thankful that somebody like Dave came through for me. And
that's why it's important to have friends, man.
Yeah,
the more people you know.
I got so much love and respect for this man and his family. And it just goes to show like what a strong community we have. And there's just such really, really good people in this community, that I'm very thankful for people like him. So I was on a Dyna Street Bob. So this is a twin cam 96 inch. Yeah, I think this was a 96 inch bike. And with a Bassani exhaust, I had so much fun on that bike. And I thought, this is kind of a boring, like, okay, this is kind of like stock. There's nothing cool, kid, about a Dyna Street Bob with spoke wheels and little baby apes and all that. I wrung that thing's neck. I gave it everything I had, and it just freaking performed flawlessly with crap stock suspension and progressive shocks in the rear or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus and Shane will attest to, like, it did well, and it was just so smooth. Like, it gave me I forgot how good a well-balanced twin cam could feel. And you know this, right? Your gold bike, your chopper. And it was just so much fun riding this bike.
Yeah.
And Dave told me that. He's like, dude, everybody who rides this bike loves it. And it gave me a respect for Bassani exhaust. I had never ridden with Bassani before, and the exhaust note was just perfection. Yeah,
it's got a good sound to it. I've always enjoyed it myself. So it's cool that you were able to still salvage it. How was this year's FXR show? I mean, you got to go out. I was there. Like, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, it was great to see everybody. I didn't really spend too much time looking at the bikes because there's always so much conversation because it's a family reunion.
That thing needs a meet and greet beforehand. Like, no bikes involved. Just people standing like in the big engine bar. It's closed for the FXR people, and that way they can mingle. That way, when you get out to see the bikes, it's like, okay, now we can go nerd out on the bikes.
I spent so much time just visiting. God, there's so many people I could name, but it was finally nice to thank you for finally introducing me to Cody Garbrandt, which him and I had. It's just neat to see somebody who I respect as a UFC fighter, which I'm a huge fan of UFC. To finally meet him and see him
rattling off like 400 names, like like they were streets in your fucking neighborhood. I was like, dude, the fact that you pronounce all this shit very well, I was like,
properly.
God.
That's right. That's right. Listen, I'm a serious fan. I've only been watching for like 5 years, but I'm big into it. I love it. I absolutely love it. But anyway, it's cool to see somebody from his side of the world he's obsessed with like FXRs, and to see him come into our side of the pool. Yeah. And so that was great, and just I enjoyed the show, but like I said, I missed a lot of the bikes. I really did, and that's okay because it's about the people. It's not just the bikes. But that was really the first time we pumped the brakes and stopped to go to an event, because all we had done was ride. Yeah, that's our main focus. And me, Marcus, and Shane, we all get along so well, and it's like everybody's so easygoing. There's never any egos or trying to one up. We try to help each other out.
We all have the same agenda when you go, is to go ride and have a good time.
Yeah.
This year for me, the obligations of like, okay, I agreed to be here, I agreed to be there. Not meet and greets, by the way. I'm not into that shit. But just in general, like, it was a lot, and it felt like you were always like running behind, or like, okay, well, when can I depart from here to go show face here?
Yeah, you were out of balance this year. You had too many obligations. Yeah. But at the same time, these were honorable things that were kind of nice to be associated with, right? I mean, having your photography featured and that sort of thing.
For sure. On that note, yeah, for sure. To be able to be there and have anything that kind of like highlights anything you do it's an honor, right? It's just kind of difficult to be an enthusiast as well, because you do want to go ride and you do want to go have that day where you're like, you know what, like let's just eat here in Hill City. Let's just eat in Custer today. Like we don't have to be back because we have dinner plans with this brand or this group of individuals. And it just like the only day I got to ride was Friday, and we did the loop. But Scott, formerly of Simpson Motorcycle Helmets, was there with Kabuto. He camped with us, and it was his first time going back to Sturgis since he'd only been once in the 90s when he was working for a brand or helping a friend out. And all he did was he got to sit and spearfish the entire time and work a booth. And one day he got to ride Spearfish Canyon. So he never got to see any of the Black Hills.
Unreal.
So on the Friday, I took him Van Arker Canyon, Nemo, like zigzagged all the way down, did Needles, did Iron Mountain, did all that stuff. And he enjoyed it all. I mean, we were still sitting in traffic on the two main highways. But the thing about Van Arker Canyon is like it's very seldomly traveled as opposed to like Boulder Canyon going towards Deadwood.
Well, you see, my experience is we have consistently ran into traffic
on Van
Arker. Yeah, I mean, not like Spearfish. Spearfish is a parade.
Yeah.
But we will typically get behind somebody on Van Arker Canyon that like, there's not a good opportunity to pass. Like you just constantly, and listen. There was one particular time we're on Van Arker Canyon Road and we're going from Nemo towards back into Sturgis.
Yeah.
And we get behind a group. I'm in our group of me, Marcus, and Shane. I'm in front, and we come up and there's an old man in front of me. And the last thing I want to do is pressure, like be on his butt, pressuring him and pushing him to something to where he gets in an accident. I don't want to, I'm not trying to piss off anybody or ruin anybody else's Sturgis or put anybody in a dangerous position. So I'm trying to be respectful, right? Like I'm not going to get right on your tail, but at the same time, like, I wish you weren't there. I wish more people would move over to the right when you see faster people behind. Yeah. There's no shame in that. Like, be aware, look at your mirrors, there's somebody behind you, scooch to the right, flag me on over, and I'm going to give you a peace sign or whatever, like, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. But we did not get a lot of that. There's normally people who are just oblivious. And if you ride even a little bit aggressively in Sturgis, you're going to be the fastest person on the road because most people are just chilling, right? They're cruising. They got their old lady on the back.
She's got an iPad in the air filming everything.
I know.
But
I'm not trying to ruin anybody's Sturgis because I want to go faster. Yeah. That's an asshole thing to do.
That's the thing. It is truly like something you have to keep in mind, a little bit of a self-awareness that it's also everybody else's chance to go there, and the way they do their traveling in Sturgis and riding is not, I mean, it might not be your thing, but it doesn't mean it's wrong.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the last day when we were heading back to Rapid, I'll give you a perfect example. We are ripping down it might be 44 that takes you from 385 back into Rapid. And we pass up one truck. Yeah, no, this is on Nemo Road.
Yeah.
We pass up one pickup truck. The dude's got his arm hanging out. Woo! Hang loose, brothers. Like, y'all rip, y'all go. As we pass him, like he's pumped for us. A freaking minute later, we go to pass up another truck, and he's flipping us off as we pass him.
Yeah.
So, two trucks, two very different reactions, right? Like, I didn't affect either one of these guys. They still were traveling at their own speed. Mm-hmm. I didn't impede them or push them or whatever. But one dude was pissed, and another dude was stoked.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just people.
This is weird about it all,
That's how it goes. But bottom line is that I'm so thankful that my week was salvaged. I have the best time. It was not very wet this year. There was some hail and stuff that I'm sure you experienced in Sturgis and all. The only time we got wet is when one time we were in Rochford and we looked up in the clouds. Were starting to get dark and you could hear thunder rolling, and we knew that to go back up to Lead or to go all the long way to Deerfield was like into Hill City was too long. But we knew there's this kind of one road that takes you right back to 385, a place called the Sugar Shack. It's known for their burgers. I don't know why it's called the Sugar Shack, but anyway. So we took that particular road, and of course, it starts dumping on us, cats and dogs, while we're on the portion that's unpaved and gravel. So we were completely just disgusting. I'm on a chopper. There's no front fender, and the rear fender is...
Yeah, so you get that what do they call them, rooster tails, right?
Dude, so the whole time I'm riding, mind you, I'm getting...
get out of this.
The whole time, I've got my and mind you, I'm not in a full face helmet. I'm in my blue open face helmet from 20 years ago that I used to ride.
You're rocking the chopper helmet.
Chopper helmet. Yeah, I'm not gonna do a full face on Nadine. And I got my Ray-Bans on, and I got them down, and I'm squinting, and I'm just the whole time. This is me. It's so nasty, and Marcus and Shane are behind me, and they said, "Dude, all you had was a freaking your rear tire.
Yeah,
was a freaking rooster tail, 8 feet tall of mud."
The bike's boat going across.
Exactly. It was so disgusting. The bikes were so caked, and then we finally get back to 385, and it is storming so bad. And the Sugar Shack, we pull up into the parking lot just to get our bearings. And there's this big outdoor seating area, and it's all covered. And there's 100 people or so just watching me on my chopper and just like looking. So I got on the chopper and bowed, and everybody started clapping. They were just laughing, like, because I'm on this bare bones chopper, and we're just covered in mud, like we're all brown and black, and it was nasty. But these are the things that we're gonna remember forever.
Good times.
Yeah. It wasn't fun, but that's how I said. This is how memories are made.
Yeah. This year in Sturgis it was pretty cool. It was I camped in Sturgis, and typically last year it was hot as hell, day and night. The year before, wet as hell, complete washed out event in my opinion. This year you had the storms. It's kind of like how it typically is. You get a storm that passes through, and you wait it out, and then it's gone, and it's dry, and you're back in business. You know what I'm saying? So
it can be very unpredictable in the Black Hills.
And, you could literally be riding, on 90 between Sturgis and Rapid City and see a gnarly storm developing somewhere left, right, center behind you and never get wet. Or you get drenched. It's just part of the experience, like you said.
It is.
You just got to hope that one night we were in Sturgis. I think we had already kind of checked out. We were going to stay at the campground for the rest of the night. And there's a bar on site at the campground the Days Inn we stay at. So we just walked in there, grabbed a couple drinks, and sat down. And, man, it was like pea-size hell. And in that tin building, it was the loudest thing. You feel like you
posted a story.
Yeah, it was so loud. But it was like, I was like, I'm still in Sturgis. I could be just at home or, like at, Chili's or something.
Do you not get nervous that your bike's getting just pelted out there?
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Hell is one of those things. Like I don't have a garage that I keep my vehicles in at home. Fortunately, I have a tree line that's pretty close to like the front of my house. So, and a lot of the gnarly storms we get come from west to east. So the tree line kind of helps save a lot of that shit.
Okay.
But we don't get like that gnarly hell on the south side of Dallas as like they do on the north side as much. It's crazy. Like I've noticed this, that up north, Denton, all those areas, like they'll get these freaking golf ball size hell and bigger.
Of course.
We don't get that down south.
Louisville, Frisco, McKinney, Sherman.
Yeah, this is where I live. Yeah.
We get pea size hell sometimes. Okay. It'll get like maybe quarter size or maybe ping pong. I don't even think a ping pong ball is.
Yeah, Cory, you live in that ping pong belt.
Oh yeah, baby.
Baseball hail.
Get that. We don't get that down here. We get wind.
That and the tornadoes. You get all the fun.
You get all that. Well, I will tell you, this is the first time, speaking of hail and worrying about your bike, this is the first bike, Nadine, right? The first bike that I have ever owned that is, you don't have to worry about it. If it gets scratched, dented, whatever.
Adds.
It doesn't even matter. Like, who cares? I don't care one bit at all. And it's so freaking liberating and freeing to finally have a bike that it doesn't matter. Everything I've ever owned has had nice paint, Like, look at the tour bike. If I got a chip in the tour bike, or, I'm ready to pass out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God, I can't believe I got a chip. So there's a certain weight lifted off of your shoulders when you have a real freaking raw bike like Nadine is. It's so much more fun and relaxing.
I think, because like the Gold Chop, the FXR, it's got so many problems. I mean, fortunately, there's not like a huge rock chip in the middle of the tank or fairing to where it's an eyesore. But if you look long enough, you're going to see a lot of its life that it's had on the road, 33,000 miles, right? And a lot of the damage came from one stretch of road that's about 2 miles long, and it was fresh chip seal in Washington.
Yep.
And it tore the bottom of the bike up. But to me, it's kind of like the same reason why like the kickstand issue that I seem to have every time I hang out with Taylor from Shifter Crew is a problem that we've had since we first built the bike. We just haven't had a chance to take it back apart and properly fix it. So it's been patches and patches and patches.
Sure.
But to me, like, I'm kind of proud of it. You know, the first kickstand that's cut off, you know, knowing that, and then that spending that night with Brian TPJ solving that problem, like that was an experience, you know, and it's hard to separate the money sometimes when you have a lot of money into a nice bike. It's hard to separate yourself from that, because I think that, and not saying this is good or bad, I'm just saying that a lot of people look at motorcycling and customizing bikes as like investments of getting their money back out, and not so much of an investment into what they can get out of it personally by being and enjoying it, you know. And
well said.
I was trying to explain to our James Speed Demon, the one I wrote or trailered up to Sturgis with. Right. Let's not hiding it. I was having this conversation with him because he's a guy that likes to ride, that cares about his bike, wants it to be nice, but he hasn't got to the point where he's like, I want to custom paint my bike. And I'm like, it's like, man, I really can't explain to you what is the whole lore behind it, right? It's, yes, there's an aspect of custom paint that is about getting more attention, right? But there's something about it, like having a bike that's personalized to you or that you're connected to. Even if someone else had it painted and you loved it and you got it, like Devin's, his Desert Fox paint job on his bike, like it becomes yours. It becomes like this visual memory or thing for you to always look back at or feel like you had or be proud of your motorcycle, you know. I'm not really the kind of guy that would custom paint my car and put flames down it or anything like that. That's a little too attention for me, right? But a motorcycle is it's a much more subtle thing to where, like, personalizing it, whether you're going full Easter egg or just, you know, a nice, you know, candy red or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I'm not like a crusty biker kind of guy, right? I'm used to having, like, nice things, right? I like to keep things clean and pretty and all that. So it is kind of, I don't know, man, it's just nice to not have to worry about everything being perfect and clean and all that. And I've talked about this before with you, like on future builds, I want to try to figure out how to incorporate some of that hardiness into future paint jobs. I don't know how Fast Life can accomplish that, you know.
Again, what I've been trying to, you know, wrap my head around, and I think that the next FXR coming out was a step in the direction of darker. Like, a lot of my bikes have been bright, and I think this might be more the darker version of that, which is it's a step in the right direction. But the chopper will be even more so that. But I guess my one thing I got to figure out is, like, I want to make something that looks good, but I don't want to fake patina. You know what I mean? I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to make it look old from the beginning. I want it to make it. I want it to have its own. It needs to earn the patina.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
This isn't fake. This is just truly what it earned.
And part of that statement has that purpose. Like, I really want my bike to earn this patina over time. The other part is, like, it's a lot to figure out how to do all these little nuanced things to make it look old. Like the cracked paint thing, I'm really into that. Like, I want to learn how to do it, but also, like, I don't know. Like, I struggle with the whole the psychology behind it. Like, I really want everything to, you know, like, be done right, and then allow it to, you know, hopefully this thing will live long enough to earn some patina. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well said. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how we're going to incorporate some of these factors, some of this feeling into the FXR world, but I want some of that flavor, some more toughness, and like, doesn't matter. Still going to be a super nice bike. Everything's still built to the same quality. Yeah. I don't know if that means like more satin finishes, less shine. You know, does that mean satin clear instead of
gloss
polished glossy clear? And
I mean, I think that the cafe racer world is probably one of the best places to study the way they do bikes for the aspect of how they do their finishes on things, whether it's leaving certain metals raw and having a brushed look, or, you know, just different ways of doing it. Kind of like what's his name?
Hollinger,
right? So like when I was there and I was looking at all these different ways they would do these finishes on some of the arch bikes, some of the like components, like some of the billet pieces, right? Instead of it being this nice tool path billet, they would put them in these like vats that could give different textures to the metal that almost kind of gives it a cast feel.
Really?
Or different things like that.
Oh, I like that.
Without like sitting there with a needler or what are those things are called?
Yeah, needle scaler.
Like sitting there for hours just beating the hell out of aluminum, try to give it some cast feel. You know?
Well, and actually what I'm trying to express here is the same thing. I forgot about this. This is what I tried to go through years ago when I built that Sportster chopper. I called it Space Chopper. I didn't want anything shiny. I wanted everything industrial. So that's when I learned about Cerakote. I used Cerakote. I used textured powder coat.
Yeah.
I wanted it to look like a weapon. And now I want to figure out how to do that and pull it off on an FXR, but yet still have custom paint.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can. You just gotta change the, like, for reference, like say my FXR that I'm doing now, like it's a factory line paint job, right? We got my little things to it. But I wanted the only thing that I don't like about it right now is I wish I would have hand lettered my logo the way I hand lettered the flames on it, because the flames at first in my head I'm like I can't stand it because I can see the brush strokes. But in most of my work, people don't want that, right? But I feel like accepting that and making that part of the look, I think it opens up the door for a lot of new things for me, because I would shy away from doing certain things in paint because it's gonna have that look.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, your paint jobs are always judged by like everything has to be perfect.
Yeah,
like to see a hand laid out line where you could see a little nuance or
I'm good at that.
Yeah,
I'm good at pinstriping and having a little hiccup in it, but
I want to see that, like we talked about earlier in the podcast. That's there's the soul, there's the handmade quality coming through. Like, oh, a human did this.
Yeah, right? The hard part about that I want to get better at is like I like to use in a lot of my paint jobs like different weight thicknesses of like pinstripe lines. Yes. And I'm not good enough as a striper to stripe consistently in, like, say if I wanted to do a thicker line and then follow it up by a thinner line. Like I'm not really that consistent to be able to pull a thin line and a thick line. So that's why I would tape those two off.
The factory did that a lot on the FXRs. You have a thicker and a thin. Yeah. I love the look of that, man. I really do.
But even the factory, they weren't hand doing that shit. It looks like it was, but it was a machine that did it all.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Trust me, this ain't India. There's not some dude sitting there spinning a tank.
I've seen that on Instagram before. It's awesome. Yeah, and this is what makes me appreciate pinstripers so much. Like we went and spent some time with my buddy Ken Smith, right? He's an old guy from the Fort Worth side of the Metroplex, and he is always based out of the Phillips 66 gas station right on the corner of Junction and Main, Junction and Lozelle area. And man, just watching him lay lines, and even when he does like his logo, it's almost microscopic.
And that's the flex, right? You know?
It's impressive, man.
I'm kind of pulled in a lot of different directions, like stylistically right now. But I'm also like I'm in a phase where I'm trying to redefine some things, not redefine like walls to stay within, but like I'm not bored with what I'm doing. I'm just like I need to spice it up to make it different.
I totally understand that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you've been doing the same thing for a while now, and you've perfected. Anybody can spot your style anywhere. I'm excited to see where you go next, how you can incorporate new flavor.
A perfect example, and this might be a little bit too like detailed for me to explain, but a lot of my paint jobs have this flow from front to back. Like the fairing, if we're talking about a Road Glide, the fairing flows into the tank in some way or form or fashion. The side cover flows into the saddlebag, but it feels like it's stacked and it goes, right? But it typically has like a degree of going up. Mm-hmm. I haven't done a paint job where it's going straight back, like straighter lines on the tank fairing. It typically all has that swoop or curve to it. So this one downstairs that I'm doing for Rob, who's been to Bike Night, he's based out of Laredo. His theme for this bike is kind of like a pace car Camaro paint job and Dale Earnhardt or something. I could be fucking this up, but the colors are there, and I think they're fucking cool. But I think this might be my opportunity to redefine and have that paint job that has those straighter lines. But I also don't want. I just want it to be cool. And if it looks cooler to have my traditional look, then I'm gonna go that way. But if I can find a way to do the lines straight on the bike, then I'm kind of, that's really what I want to do.
Well, lucky
personally.
for you always sketch out your concepts first, so you can play with it on paper before you ever.
Yeah, I'll work most of it out on paper first, and that'll help. But just kind of like, I know it's a simple thing that most people don't think about, but like once you get comfortable, like I know, like if you're coming to me for my work and my style, and I have this body of work that you like, you kind of want something within that body of work. Not so much, hey, here's this thing I've been wanting to try over here, but it's not quite as good as all these other things. You know what I'm saying? So there's like a...
Yeah, but once you start introducing that new flavor, then people are going to jump on board now that they finally see it.
Yeah.
They don't know it.
That's usually
what they haven't seen.
Usually the way I've done in the past is I take the new flavor, and that's something I apply to my personal things.
True.
That way it's not necessarily going to be someone else as the guinea pig.
Yeah, they're not taking a risk.
Yeah, and like I said, at the end of the day, like all I care about is that bike being badass. So if it ends up working out with my idea, cool. If it not, and it's this, I'm fine with that. Like I'm not mad.
You can always go to the vault, and you know the secret sauce that'll work.
Yeah. But when it comes to like this chopper that the chopper that we're doing for Born Free, invited builder stuff, I'm so fixated on learning the other aspects of this stuff, like the like just in general, how do you build a chopper, right? But then all the welding and all the adding to, when we build the sissy bar, and I can't wait to build the pipes on it, because I want to make sure that when I do it out of stainless, everything gets sanded down and polished. It looks like one. There's no welds visible. I want to find a way to do some cool tips. Basic shit for most of the people that are invited builders. But at first, whenever I agreed to do it, I think that I was like, I was like, I'm just going to build this bike for Sturgis. I mean, not Sturgis, Born Free, Texas. And, to be an invited builder to something, like I feel like, first off, I'm not quite there by a long shot to be able to do it all by myself. I'm not as talented as a fabricator, which I'm not. I wouldn't even consider myself a fabricator at all yet. But like, there's so many things, right? And so now you're in this class, and last year, Fish from Alleyway was in this class, and he built some fucking amazing bikes. So it's like I don't want to like lightly take on this project and just be like, yo, this is whatever. Like, what, you know what I mean? I want to take it seriously, but also this is a learning project bike. It's a learning project for me more than it is like me showing the world this badass custom motorcycle that I'm trying to build. I do hope it's badass, as we all want, but more than anything, it is like more of a project to learn and acquire more skills and more knowledge of how this stuff goes together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, since we did the first bike together, you've expressed like a huge spark had been lit in you to learn more and more of this stuff. And look at what we've already done, right? So we've already hardtailed your frame over the winter. Yeah.
In January?
Yeah. And I mean, you did the vast majority of the welding, and just getting more and more comfortable around the equipment, right? And you got your own welder now. You didn't have a welder on the first bike. Yeah. So yeah, you're on your way. It's it's baby steps. None of this is going to happen overnight, but with each project, you're going to walk away with new skills that you didn't have before. Yeah. We talked about earlier, maybe next time you come over, you can run the lathe for the first time.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to.
Just don't crash my lathe,
It'll be your fault
for letting you. Who put this drunk monkey on here?
I did what you said, Cory, dude. I don't know why this thing seized up. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's none of it is over your head. I mean, you're very mechanically apt, and many of the times that when we've been working on stuff together, you'll come up with a different idea or approach, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just so stuck in the rut, not in the rut, but in the moment of what I'm doing. Like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about doing it that way. So it's good to put another person in the mix and get their input and their feedback.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's boiling down to. I mean, this current FXR that I've been working on, that you've helped out a ton on. There was certain aspects that came to the table with this bike that was very very unique compared to like most FXR builds, right? Mm-hmm. Most FXR builds require no fabrication work or no real modifying anything. I bought this wheels, I bought this, they go on it. Well, I have a great partnership with Arlen Ness. I've been working with them for years. Love their parts, love the brand, love the family. Anytime I get a chance to work with their parts, I'm going to do it. They don't make hubs, I believe, for actually wheels either, for narrow glide front ends. And I think maybe the rear wheels as well. This was they did like 10 sets of these narrow rear wheels that fit these older bikes, mm-hmm. and they didn't quite sell as much as like the world said they wanted them. And I knew they had them for a while, so I finally said, "Hey, Zach, can I get a set?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you." So I started building this bike around these wheels. Well, the front wheel is technically the same width of like a Softail, a newer Dyna or Softail front wheel, and the hubs are wider, so it barely fits within the narrow glide front forks, which posed issues with the brakes lining up, which this is the first bike I've ever done where I ran dual discs, and it will be the last bike I ever do that runs dual discs. It's not worth the headache.
Single disc performance.
Dude, one problem, not two problems. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Because lo and behold,
complicate it, because then it's like, okay, I'm gonna do touring calipers and like.
There's a lot of factors.
There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of things that I think that the industry could use out of the workarounds here seem to be easily solved with someone just making a certain product, which I'm not going to say what that product is, because maybe it'll be something that could come out, whatever. But in general, it's like the brake calipers on older FXRs, the single piston fronts and the single rears, are not great. And aesthetically, they're not that cool looking either. So at least modern Brembo from the baggers have like a better stopping power, especially for that small of a bike. And they're relatively everywhere. You can find these calipers. I mean, you can go to you can find them like a whole set of them on eBay for $250 or $300 or less. Yeah. And then they have all these brackets to make these calipers work on the 99 and down stuff, which kind of kicks it out in a kind of funky way that I'm not as super I'm not in love with it, but it does solve a problem. And the only other option is like $600 a piece brake calipers.
Yep.
Lo and behold, we got it figured out. We thought we were going to have to machine down the hubs. We were able to kind of just play with spacers, like typical Harley.
Spacers and clearancing your fork legs for the rotor bolts to pass through. Same thing I had to do on my M8 bikes. Yeah. So no big deal. Use the lathe, made a front spacer, made a couple rear spacers, got the wheels aligned the way they needed to be. For the most part, like I've found myself needing a lathe more often than I've needed a welder, 100%. But that's the cool thing about this bike is that, most people walking by it, they're not going to notice that these wheels are wider or whatever than they, typically would be. The exhaust I made is much better than the first one I made, which is on my other FXR. As far as welds are concerned, I'm not gonna, put it in I'm not gonna tag any welding pages on Instagram or anything like that. But progress for me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you should be proud.
And I feel like it went together well. I did that one 100% myself.
100%.
You were wiring the bike while I'm sitting over there, tigging all damn day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You deserve full credit for that.
I did really want to wire the bike myself this time. But then again, I was talking to Devin before you showed up. The thing that this FXR build has been is a great way to get me into like a groove, so that rolling into the chopper, everything will feel like it's very familiar, as opposed to the last time this depth of a bike was being customized here was the Gold Chop.
Yeah, a couple years back.
Right.
You're already in fabrication mode.
Yeah, so
bike building mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though it's going to be a challenge the next 2 months,
we'll be seeing a lot more of each other, I think, huh? Next couple of months, you think?
Yeah, a lot more van trips. Fortunately, all my bikes fit in the van now, so
Yeah.
I can just cruise on up.
It's all good, dude. We collaborate well. I enjoy working with you, and it'll all come together.
Yeah.
We have no choice but for it to. We just refuse to lose. Just keep working, never give up. Push.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Well, how long are we in right now?
140.
All right, real quick before we end up wrapping up, little bit about your next FXR, maybe.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No big secret. So I built 2 already. The third one is going to be my same recipe, right? I still love running touring wheels, touring swing arm, OEM stuff, right? You'll need to call me OEM Plus from now on. That's going to be my street name. But I like that same formula. So it'll be my same basic touches, but this time I want a more pure, slim down version. Slim down meaning not a big full fairing, maybe just some kind of little bullet, small fairing.
Yeah.
No big bags or anything in the rear. I want it removable. Like maybe I'm thinking about Leather Pros.
Yeah.
So it'll be that my same flavor but more pure. And so that this will be, in theory, this will be the lightest bike that I've done of the 3 M8s, and it's going to be the most powerful because I have a lot of my friend Shane, who bought a Street Glide. I have a lot of his parts. When he took apart his brand new 117 and went with a 131, so I have his cylinders and pistons and all that stuff.
How's that gonna? So you don't have his heads though, right?
No.
All right, I was gonna say, because
No,
I would say the
just
heads are
cylinders
gonna be
and pistons.
different.
Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't be able to run those heads and all that. So basically I already have a drivetrain. I found a drivetrain at a
Stupid cheap.
Yeah, it was a stupid cheap, crazy story. But anyway, it's a 107.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically that's the 4 and 3/8 stroke. But in order to make my bike to a 117, which is, again, that's what I have the cylinders and pistons from, and his whole cam chest and all that stuff, I need to have the longer stroke. I can't. The 107 uses a 4 and 3/8 stroke. I think I'm getting this right. And then the 114 and 117 use 4 at another eighth, 4.5 inch stroke. And then when you start going to the bigger, like the 121 and all that, that's at another eighth. That's a 4 and 5/8 stroke. I think I have all that right. But so basically what I'm going to have to do is just split the cases on this drivetrain that I picked up, this 107, and get a set of stock flywheels, which that's no problem. I call up like Brian Clem Speed Shop. He's got them. No big deal.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got all that takeoff stuff for people doing like crazy big builds.
Taking one of those, like, do you need any other specialty tools other than like what would you need to be able to take that to swap the cranks out for yourself, or would you have somebody do that?
Well, I do it under the watchful eye of like my friend Tom, who's he's now the service manager at Black Gold. So, but I mean, none of it's like that difficult to set. It's not that bad. But again, I would lean to him for help because I've never split cases on an M8 before. But I've watched the videos of people doing it and stuff. And again, this is just like anything. It may seem a little daunting until you go do it yourself, and it's like, it's fine. So that's my whole deal. I'm going to build another M8. I'm getting a frame from Brooks probably this week.
Yep.
Thank you, Brooks.
Got the wheels from Cruzy.
I got Cruzy's off of his Street Glide, those factory 24 wheels, which I love. I love that design. That was the first parts that I bought.
You pretty much fell in love with those Sturgis last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Like when y'all first
started
talking.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Those 5-spoke wheels?
Yeah, the 5-spoke, they're kind of slanted, split star. So that's what I decided to build a bike around. I already did a gas tank. I bought a smashed gas tank, and I put your body line into the tank. I already did the swing arm. I did my usual hip reduction surgery on the swing arm. And so I'm already...
Didn't you get rid of like the seam weld too, or did you leave it?
Yeah, this is the first time. I got rid of that big weld seam. Normally I leave it and I just make it look all OEM, but now I eliminated it. So it's more
It's got to be
flat.
more seen anyway.
It's smooth, you smooth it.
It's
it
more
looks
smooth.
It looks so
Yeah.
clean.
That's right. Thank you, Devin. So yeah, that'll be it. This is what my whole goal is, to have that bike done for Sturgis of next year.
Nice.
I've been to Sturgis 6 times, and I've been on 5 different bikes, and every bike offers a different experience.
Yeah.
So if I can keep this going,
Yeah.
to build a bike every year, It's not always going to be M8 FXRs, but whatever. If I could go to Sturgis every year on a different bike, I think that would be the goal. That's what I'm shooting for. But my goal is always to constantly have a project. I don't want to build a stable. I don't want a fleet of bikes. I'm always excited about the next project. Like I was talking to Oliver Jones about this. We talked about this in Sturgis at great length, but you get so stoked about, you're not even finished with one bike and you're already thinking about the next one, and you're so jazzed about starting the next one. So that's where I get my total fulfillment as a builder, is the creativity of making something that didn't exist. So my whole goal is to build like this bike that I'm telling you about. That's my plan. I want to build it. I want to enjoy every bike for a few months, and then I want it to go away so I can take that money and put it into the next one. And I hope, like the guy who bought my 2 FXRs, he's actually building a collection. And he said, I mean, I won't hold him to it. Yeah, but he said, let me know when you get this one done. Maybe he'd be interested in it as well. So that would be ideal. But that's my whole goal. So, so along that same train of thought is that, well, if I'm constantly building a bike and getting rid of it, what's going to be the consistent bike that I have to ride reliably? Well, Naen isn't going anywhere, but I'm not just going to rely on a high compression kick-only shovel to go around and.
Because you still got your little rips, like going down to the hill country with Marcus and them, and then Sturgis in case something doesn't happen.
Yes,
you want to be asked out.
That's right. So I actually bought a bike yesterday. I showed you earlier. I bought one that's already in the family. I bought it from our buddy Tim O'Keefe, which he had, in turn, he had bought from Marcus and Stephanie. So I bought an M8 Street Bob. And it's all, and it obviously you had painted it just a few months ago, right?
Yeah, like January-ish. Yeah.
So man, it's got so much of our circle.
Yeah.
It's all people I know and love. And I just want to, get it to fit me a little bit more because it's kind of low, because obviously Stephanie's a female. She's got a shorter inseam. I want it to just sit a little bit taller and some minor tweaks.
Yeah.
But I think that may end up being a long-term consistent bike as well. So I'd have...
Just to always have something in the stable.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking bike, and you don't... Other than the tweaks that you already talked about, getting your suspension where you want it, maybe, get your rider triangle down to fit you,
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
You really don't have to do much. And then, I think that takes away the stress too, because if I didn't have my gold chop and I couldn't make Sturgis because I didn't finish this bike and now I'm driving up there to do all this stuff, I think that I would have been a much more grumpy man, I feel like
that's, wow.
To know that it's going to be okay. I still have a cool bike to ride.
Yeah. You're hitting on something, because this is something I had thought about recently over the past few weeks, is that having this chopper, Naen, has been so freeing, because stylistically it's not my responsibility. Somebody else styled this.
Yeah.
There's no obligation or pressure on me to express my style through the bike. I already love the stance. This bike has the most epic chopper stance ever in my eye. Not everything about it is what I would have picked. I wouldn't have picked that tank or those bars or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm just the caretaker. This isn't my responsibility to style. I thought, and here's the deal, man. I thought, when I posted that bike for the first time on Instagram and shared the story about Lloyd and all that, I put in there, my goal is to put a little bit of my style into it while still preserving the foundation that's already been laid before me.
Yeah.
Well, I've already gone through a few iterations of changing a few things here and there, and I end up putting them back the way they were. Because it didn't feel right. I was like, oh no, I'm going to put some more, some bars that aren't, here's the deal. Right now it's got these 90s style pullback bars, pullback T-bars. They're very narrow, but they put me leaning back. And I have grown. I'm so used to aggression, right? I've never been in a relaxed posture. It's always an aggressive posture where your spine is slightly leaning forward and you're on the bars. So I had my boy Luke from Silverback Moto bid me a set of Baby Aves, and I put them on. And as much as I wanted to like them, his bars are freaking perfect. I love the bars. They're just not right for the bike.
Yeah.
The bikes felt too much like West Coast CFL. It had those kind of vibes. And I'm like, I can't do that to this bike. So I had to put those little narrow bars back, and then I go ride it again. I'm like, yes, why would I ever try to change this? Dude, they're 25 inches wide. I've never had bars that narrow before. And leaning back, oh my God, it's so freaking cool, man. It just puts you in this chill mode. It puts you in
It's
a
a vibe.
different mindset when you're freaking riding. I talked to Cruzy about this in Sturgis the other day, because he's building a chopper and we were talking about chopper stuff. I know you've been sharing information with him about what you have learned in choppers and maybe some tips and things he needs to do. And he's like, yeah, man, like I noticed that too. When I'm riding a bike that's a more relaxed posture, it's not always this obligation to rip and to shred. It's just chill out, man.
Yeah.
Like, go freaking cruise. Yes, we were literally doing 100 miles an hour on this old
But
bike.
you can still do that, right?
But it's just cruising around, jockey shifting, just chilling, man. It's just cool. And it just puts you in a totally different mindset. And you just feel like you're on the coolest freaking bike that has ever been built.
Yeah.
It just puts you in that kind of mindset. So
That's something I think that, like, when Yaniv or when Cruzy or when Tony, when they rode the FXR chop, when I rode out there to California, that's, I think, one thing that they all got out of that is how comfortable the chopper is to sit on it and ride it. I mean, it's designed for my 5'9", short inseam kind of frame. But, when Cruzy was riding next to me and I was on that Neister and we got back to the shop, and I think this is all off camera, he's like, dude, I could ride that bike anywhere.
Bro.
And I'm like, yeah, it's
Tony from Ramjet and Ryan Cruzy, when I talked to them both in Sturgis, were like, that bike is unbelievable. Like, it totally inspired them to want one as well.
yeah.
And when I asked Ryan, I'm like, well, did you get a chance to, like, rip it? He's like, yeah, I absolutely was able to rip on it and, like, take corners and all that. And he said it performed perfect.
Yeah.
But you're on this freaking machine that's like got this cool stance. So it could still, you could do both. You could still cruise like you're on this chopper, but if you feel like riding aggressively, go.
Yeah.
Do it. The bike's like, let's go.
Exactly.
I'm ready.
And that's kind of the thing is where, I found myself, depending on what helmet I'm wearing is kind of like the vibe I'm going to have for the day.
Totally.
If I wear my
I'm
open
choosing
chop,
violence today.
yeah.
Totally.
When I go cruise around the loop that I was talking about earlier, I throw that open face on, and I'm feeling the wind. I got the I ride it at a pace that is like comfortable for that helmet, right? But when I throw a fucking full face on, and like I tend to ride that bike pretty quick. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. There's just I think that, like, a good takeaway from this segment of what we're talking about is that find something that when you ride, it does that for you. Like, if you don't want to be on it and you don't want to go further, and if all you want to do is jump on the bike and you can't wait to get to where you're going, maybe you're not on the right bike. You know what I mean? Find a bike that makes you just want to be on it. That makes you want to go out and cruise around the block for no reason. Not just go to the thing where you're going to be able to be seen or whatever. Like, do this because it feels good. And I think that when you're on the right bike that makes you feel like that and jump on it, past the infatuation lust phase, right? Anytime you first get a bike, you're going to want to ride it regardless.
Well, yeah. Well, I think what it's doing, what you're describing, is kind of putting you back in that mindset and that feeling you had when you first discovered motorcycles.
Yeah, when you first discovered it.
It was so fun. You couldn't wait to go to even go run an errand and pick up some. I'll go. Like when you first get your driver's license.
Yeah.
Mom, you need some milk? I'll go.
Yeah.
Like, you're just so pumped to be on the machine or in.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. I
Chase that
understand
feeling.
Yeah, chase that.
Yeah.
Not just an anticipation to get there and get off of this machine. Like, no, you're looking forward to riding this machine.
Yeah, and I think another good thing in the vein of that is, like, for a lot of people that don't let the value of your motorcycle and your experience on it be dictated by other people's attention towards it, right? Like, if you put a lot of money in your bike and you bought all the things you wanted and you enjoy it, then don't let someone else steal that joy from you because it didn't win a show or it's not getting shared on Instagram. All these other things that are kind of like outside of your ability to create for yourself. If you build a bike, customize it to whatever degree, enjoy it for be proud of that and just be content with that. You don't need anything. If someone likes it,
Great.
Fuck yeah. If they don't like it,
Sorry.
oh fucking well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was a weird. When I think back, there was a weird there was an overwhelmingly amount of people who did really like the gold FXR chop. But there was a handful of people that were like, man, I just didn't know if I was going to like this or not. I do, but it was so new to them because a lot of people were used to only, especially me coming from the performance bagger world, my core audience probably didn't see that shift or trend going that way. You know, they saw me jump on the ST and like, oh, that makes sense to go from the Road Glide to the ST. I'm interested to know about those as well. But then to sell all those bikes and only have a FXR chop, like I couldn't even make sense of that shit myself. But I fucking enjoyed every moment that I rode that bike everywhere I went.
Yeah, and I know that bike. I know for sure that bike, the same way that my blue bike started a bunch of M8 FXRs being built. Now look how many choppers are being built now.
Yeah.
No, people aren't going to get in line to give you flowers. You know, like, oh, this bike was the inspiration, because people are typically insecure.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of obvious that since the
it's
tour,
undeniable. You and me were talking about that.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, right? Because you can't expect that. You know what I mean? And I mean, look, there's always that good and that bad on your shoulder. You know what I mean? There's always that. You know, they copied you, or you know they did that. But at the end of the day, I mean, most of the people, like someone that's way better, you know, they can do everything you can do, like, and they decide to build one. Like, I can't be like, yo, man, like, why are you taking my shit? Because you know.
We're all getting inspiration from one another, right? There's no new ideas under the sun.
I think the best way to go about everything is to just completely, to always be open to paying homage to where ideas come from, right? So like the leather washer thing on the bike, or I was like punching out leather washers. Well, here's the deal. I got that from Rennie, Easy Rider Cycle. I know that Rennie didn't invent that, right? Because I think Wayne showed him that, right? But see, I got it from Rennie. That's where it came from for me. I saw it on his chopper right here behind me. I was like, that's fucking cool.
There you go.
So that's where my credit goes to right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he invented it. I'm saying that's the person who inspired me to do that.
Somebody in your circle that inspired you.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that's awesome to be man enough to give people credit for ideas and stuff. I've always tried to put flowers on like FXR division, Justin Coleman. They're the people who inspired me to do an M8. Yeah. And then in turn, my blue M8 was done 5 years later, and now you're seeing a bunch of them done. Yeah. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to brag on myself or anything, but I'm just seeing the trends. Like, God dang, you're seeing a lot of them now. Yeah. So I always try to give credit to people. I think that's a sign of maturity.
Yeah, for sure. Another kind of like maybe thought in the head kind of topic is like, in a lot of things, there's someone that kind of originates something, but then it takes maybe something else to kind of popularize something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We said it has to be the right time, right? Someone can do it before you, but if it's not the right time, it's not. It just doesn't hit the same. It doesn't.
That's kind of what I think is going on. You know, I think that like I think it's a combination of things with the FXR, M8 FXR. I think that when Justin FXR Division Torch, when they built that first one, the cop bike one, I think is the one, right? Mm-hmm. So when they built that one, you didn't just have scrap M8 touring drivetrains laying around anywhere.
They were early.
Yeah, so they were early. So literally, they pretty much either had to, I mean, not saying you couldn't get one. I mean, hell, there's probably some available as soon as the bikes came out, someone wrecked one, right? But in general, like, they're not as readily available as they are now, right?
That's right.
So when they did it, it did answer the question of, can it be done? Mm-hmm. That solved a big problem that is probably one of the biggest hurdles in the process of doing something in this world, right?
Yeah.
Then, since you know it can be done, you're not going into that project of like, could this even work? Like, no, I know it works. I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to make it work for myself. And then you find these other ways of doing it, which refines the way things are done, right? So then you did yours in 22? Mm-hmm. So we're talking maybe 2-3 years later after.
Oh, no, they built theirs in like 18.
Yeah, so they were like really early,
so
right?
I got started on mine Probably 21.
Yeah.
21. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're right.
you add all this time. Now there's more availability of these things out on the streets, and there's more knowledge to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because now, I mean, once you figured it out, because now that knowledge was like obtainable without having Justin Coleman level machinery.
Right. But to his full credit, I was able to reach out to him, and he shared any question I had. He was willing to share information, like no problem. So I give him full credit.
And I'm not implying that Justin couldn't sit there and build all this stuff on his hands and knees with angle grinders and cutoff wheels. Like, the dude's a fucking master fabricator, you know?
He is
but
master level.
He is, you know, one of those dudes too that, like, dude, I would like to take a field trip just to hang out at his shop one day and just be there the whole day.
Totally.
You know,
totally,
because every
he
time
can make anything.
Yeah, 100%. And but yeah, it goes to what Devin had just said and what we said earlier. I just think that, like, it's timing. You know, it gives, you know, for me, I think it opened the door for people to see another perspective, and then for them to see me still riding it and doing, like, you don't see a lot of FXR chops being ridden across the country, right? Not saying that nobody can. It's just that, like, that's my thing is, like, I'm not building shit I can't ride across country.
Sure.
This chopper downstairs
Same.
has to be able to be ridden across country. Maybe you won't be ready to ride across country when we finish it in October, but the goal is, before, if that sells or whatever, is to have a trip under the belt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so my thing is, like, it goes back to what I just said to you about, like, when Justin Coleman, I'll just say FXR division, when they did that chopper, or the M8 FXR, it removed the layer of uncertainty, right? And I think that for my audience growing through this podcast of performance bagger guys, that a lot of these guys might have had a Dyna first and then jumped on a bagger, right? So they don't really have a lot of expertise, knowledge, or interest in older chopper shit. Well, when I fell into it, I wanted to be the purveyor of this knowledge through this podcast. That's why I've had on all these very important individuals about the culture, the history, and all this, so they can go back and listen to all these episodes and understand where the Born Free show comes from. Understand that there was this culture in our current culture of blogs and chat rooms that helped create a lot of the builders that people buy products for their baggers today were in these things back then. So there's, like, this full circle of just trying to give everybody a connection to how and this all came to be and how it works. And then when I build it or customize it or whatever and jump on it right across country, it removes that layer of uncertainty that it can be done, and you can experience what they got out of the Road Glide on a harder thing. Not harder like it's hard to do. Hard like you can't take all this shit you would normally take. Yeah. You have to be more mindful of what you pack out.
A little bit more of a struggle.
It takes more thought. And to me, you know, as you've done a lot of crisscross across the country, how do you make this challenging? You know, I don't want to make it challenging by making it, like, hurt or, like, I don't want to I'm only riding in the rain. That's the only time I'm going to be traveling is when it's pouring. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but
thunderstorms only.
Yeah. But to know that, like, the people who paved our cultural way and our industry way rode these bikes across the country, man, I owe it to them to fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So to me, that's just where I'm at in this shit. You know what I mean? I was telling you guys earlier, I'm probably going to have to buy a new bike next year, tax purposes, you know? At least that's what I'm telling my wife. But I mean, like, I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. I just, man, like, there's just so much to learn and experience. Like, why be so pigeonholed? And trust me, I'm the biggest hypocrite right now on this table. I started this podcast very, very close-minded about, like, this is what's cool and fuck off. I do remember a guy like Jesse James being the same. I got a book over here that says that exact shit in it, right? We all are passionate about what we like and what we do, and that's kind of what comes out of me at that time. But now I'm just trying to be more open-minded and grown the fuck up.
Your palate's expanded.
Yeah.
Diversifying my portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. But you clearly you've become not addicted, but you love the creative process of building in the same way that you love creativity of expressing your art, right, through paint. Clearly you enjoy building bikes. And after you've already ridden cross country on something you've built, how the heck can you? It's hard to go back.
It is.
It's hard to go back,
Yeah.
you know, and just buy a stock bike and. Okay, maybe you throw some custom parts at it. It's just not the same. From something that you built from the ground up, it's definitely more
you're
rewarding and
ruined.
fulfilling. Yeah. But it's what better way to express your own style than through a custom build?
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading a lot of Tom Fugel's kind of stuff the last couple of days because I've been going through all my old mags and like books and stuff, and he I can't quote it because I don't have that kind of memory, but he had a lot of very poetic ways of talking about expressing himself through the choppers that he built and rode across the country. Not necessarily rode across. I mean, he rode and things, but he built bikes and enjoyed them. And I think that's the coolest thing to do. And I think that's why he's so revered and respected amongst like that world of, you know, kind of vintage style choppers. I don't even know how to classify it, but
Sure.
in that space, is that he built what he thought was cool, regardless of whether it fit a trend or a box or anything, and he rode it, and you know, you couldn't tell him shit. You know, he was still, you know, riding choppers, and I think that there's something cool about that. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of the people that I've kind of in my generation of guys that I came up with in the performance bagger world that are, you know, you see Forever Red Kyle killing it with what he's doing with Indian and the bike builds he's doing, his shop. You see it, a lot of the brands that we've all kind of been together. You see them all kind of starting to, you know, use their skills they've acquired, the bikes they had already built through the performance baggers to start branching off in these other areas. You know what I mean? And I think Justin, my machinist, you know, he's been building like a CFL chopper, other stuff that they've been doing. Like it's all about like growing and seeing if you could take what you learned in this place and apply it here to make your own flavor and style. And I think that a lot of us are going to chase like whatever the cheap bike is. And right now I feel like Softails are pretty cheap, like twin cam Softails you can get for nothing.
Really?
I feel like you might start seeing a lot more people buying those and doing stuff to them because
Just chopping.
whether you're chopping it, customizing it, just doing something different, you know what I mean?
Well, I feel like we've seen enough road glides and
Yeah.
performance oriented touring bikes over the past few years. It's just kind of gets old and it's stale.
Yeah.
No matter how much money is dumped into one, it's just after a million of them, I feel like I've seen enough.
Yeah.
So people get bored of something and they want to move on to something else. Kind of like choppers came back into my life. I didn't expect it, but I'm having a freaking blast.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind building another chopper. I would love. We've talked about it. I would love to chop an M8 Softail and do kind of like what I've done on other bikes, like full blown rigid.
Yeah.
Dang, I saw Morris Magneto makes a M8
Yeah. They got one of those done now.
Magneto now. That's really interesting to me. So I don't know, man. I just want to build something new constantly. Every year, be on a different custom.
Well,
bike.
that's what I think is happening right now. Is I think a lot of people are like builders, customizers, are pushing into that back into that sector to be more creative and individual. Right. The whole point of customizing your bike is to have something that everybody else. Not the whole point, but a point of it is to have a uniquely different thing than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, like what I've gotten very used to is being on a motorcycle that is nowhere else like it. I mean, the only place that I've been where there's something else like it has been Born Free, Sturgis, and you know
That's
at
awesome.
the FXR show.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
everywhere else in Sturgis, like it's a unique one-off bike that nobody else is used to seeing. So that's a weird thing to be a part of mentally, not in a bad way, but just like something to take in. Like everywhere you go, people are at a place like Sturgis, they're pointing, they're looking at it because you don't see four of them going down the road. It's not, I saw so many white CVO Road Glide STs, and I'm not hating, because I love that bike. I think it's an amazing bike. I'd love to have one. I saw so many that I have a hard time believing that Harley is having a hard time making money right now.
Oh, really?
Almost one out of every 6 bikes I feel like I saw in Sturgis was a white CVO Road Glide ST, the newer, body
Interesting.
style.
Okay.
Saw them every fucking where.
Wow.
And I guess it's kind of like when you think of a car and you're driving somewhere, like, oh, Chevy Malibu, like a 08, you're going to see them everywhere now, or Honda Accord, or
that's how it
Toyota
works.
Tacoma
Yep.
or some shit,
That's
Point
normally
that
how it
out.
works.
You know what? I would be interested to know Because you're right. I always see the white ones. I almost never see the black ones.
Or they had a red one.
The red ones came out this year. And they're pretty popular, so you don't see as many of them. But the white ones are everywhere.
Yeah. So it's unique. I don't know. I think it's, like I said, finding ways to do different shit. And, you know, Jeff Holt had the Chopper show this year as his Deadwood thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, he even told me, he's like, you know, I didn't expect it to be big because this is a very new thing. But I think, and he thanked me for bringing the bike. And I was bummed that I couldn't bring the new one, but I was kind of relieved that I'm going to get to take the FXR chop because of that particular show, because he'd even told me, he's like, look, this show is kind of based off like what you guys had did a while back, not just me, but just in general, or us, that like he thinks that this next push is something more chopper performance oriented based. I mean, you got all these guys that are coming off performance baggers that want to do something cool and different.
There you go.
I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you'll see more M8s. You're going to see more twin cams. You're going to see more of the modern shit with the twist of someone that came off road glides, I think.
Maybe so.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd be excited to see. Listen, I just want to see more custom bikes. I want to see the custom industry continue to survive. No, to thrive.
Yeah.
Right? And where people just aren't buying stock bikes but are
I
actually...
I really hope Brian from TBJ hears this, because I really can't. I really want him to get to a point where he can turn off his CNC machine, and turn his welder back on.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, you know.
I don't know if he knows how to weld anymore.
I don't know, man. He struggled when he was welding my kickstand back on.
I figured he was just
like
contaminating the
kept
tungsten.
touching the tungsten. You know, just couldn't get it right. I asked him if he needed me to do it, but
you could have probably done better.
Oh, for sure, upside down on his back.
Yeah, I mean, what does that guy know?
But
Love you, Brian. That dude is so talented, man.
I like him more for his shit talking.
He's really good at it. I love him.
He gets it. He takes it. He dishes it just as well. And it's genuine love.
Every podcast we do, he comes up and you rip on him every time.
Yeah, I mean, he should start a podcast just so he can rip on me. Anyway,
he's the best.
Cory, I had a great time in Sturgis. I barely saw you. But thank you for all the help and all the lessons I've been learning over the years. And
my pleasure. I hope I hope to continue sharing whatever I know and passing it on.
Appreciate it.
So, thank you.
Thank you.